around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. As the deadline for teams to trim to the 53-man roster passes, the Chiefs have cut receiver Kadarius Toney. The Titans waive former first-round pick corner Caleb Farley. The Patriots cut quarterback Bailey Zappi. Titans acquired star linebacker Ernest Jones IV and a 2026 sixth-round pick from the Rams for a fifth-rounder in 2026. L.A. unable to reach an extension this offseason with Jones. Jets coach Robert Saleh told reporters today there's still a path for holdout edge rusher Hassan Reddick to play in Week 1 against the 49ers. Reddick, acquired from Philadelphia in March, wants a new contract, showed up to the Jets team facility for his physical and virtual news conference April 1st, has not been back since. ESPN's Adam Schefter.
Talks have completely stalled, and they've stalled because the Jets want him in the building before they believe they should start up talks aimed at a long-term contract extension, and Reddick wants a contract before he shows up, and so you have this game of chicken that now is 13 days away from the regular season opener.
Oklahoma running backs coach DeMarco Murray suspended a game this season for recruiting violations.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Music. And Mr. Toby Tomplate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. NFL roster cut down day. Teams had to be down to 53 2 minutes ago. We've got all the latest. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes. ESPN's Adam Rittenberg next hour. Ross Jackson after Saints practice with us in hour 3. We got a ton to do. Let's begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right. 3 o'clock Central Time has come and gone, meaning the time for NFL teams to cut their rosters from 90 to 53 has come and gone, meaning there's about 1,000 free agents around the NFL right now. And, of course, the Saints and every other team are going to be scouring free agency, the waiver wire, to see who they might be able to add to better their team for a season that starts in less than 2 weeks. Actually, the season starts a week from Thursday. The overall season, of course, the Saints will begin a week from Sunday. Let's run through some of the big names, and I'll go offense, then defense, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of how today went for the New Orleans Saints, because there were some interesting ones. And keep in mind, some of the names that I'm going to mention who were cut or waived today are certainly practice squad candidates, practice squad possibilities. So we'll kind of go with that as we'll catch you up as we move along through this, okay? So the Saints do, in fact, keep 4 quarterbacks if you include Taysom Hill as a quarterback. But Derek Carr, Jake Haener, Spencer Rattler, Taysom Hill, they keep them all. That's no surprise. You were not going to run the risk of waiving Rattler or Haener and running the risk of another team signing them to their 53. That happened 2 years ago with Ian Book, and the guy who used a 4th-round pick was gone after a year because he didn't clear waivers. So no surprise there that they were keeping those guys. The question is, Who's number 2? We don't have that answer yet. Running backs was going to be an interesting. By the way, let me mention this. Go to LouisianaSports.net, right at the top of the homepage. Our guy Ross Jackson did an awesome job all day updating like as the news was going real time. So if you want a full list real time on the tracker, it's right there at the top page of LouisianaSports.net. So running backs. The Saints are keeping Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, and Jordan Mims. So the name I didn't mention was Kendre Miller. The Saints have designated Kendre Miller to start the season on IR. So that means he, provided that they use one of their spots where they designated to return, IR with a designation to return, meaning he starts the season on IR, but would be able to join the team and join the active roster later in the season. So this is probably a deal where Kendre Miller for the start of the season would be ready, but you give a very deserving roster spot to Jordan Mims, who is consistent and very good for you in the preseason, and you don't have to cut Kendre Miller and run the risk of him signing somewhere else if you couldn't get him through waivers on your practice squad. So Kendre Miller starts the season on IR. Disappointing that Jacob Kibodi, James Robinson both cut. I know Kibodi's the local guy, the Louisiana product, who was running back for the Raging Cajuns and is now was an undrafted free agent with the Saints. Scored 2 touchdowns on Sunday in the Dome. He is a quintessential practice squad candidate. That is the guy that you say, okay, we didn't have a spot for you on the 53. Hang tight. We're going to sign you back to the practice squad. Because if you have an injury, a bumps, bruises, something like that, that's a guy that you'd love to have in your organization so that you could promote if you need him. They do keep Adam Prentice at fullback. Here's your wide receivers. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Cedric Wilson, Bub Means. We're waiting on word on Shaq Davis, Samson Nakua. We'll get that. Mason Tipton, according to Nick Underhill, is expected to make the roster, as is A.T. Perry. That means you'd be looking at Olave, Shaheed, Wilson, Perry, Tipton, then Bub Means, Shaq Davis, Samson Nakua. We don't have word on yet, so we'll wait on all of those decisions as we get them coming through real time. Again, the cut deadline was 7 minutes ago, so a lot of this has happened. The news just hasn't broken yet, so we're still keeping an eye on the receivers. Same with tight ends. We know that Michael Jacobson was waived. We're assuming Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Dallin Holker will all make the team. No word yet on Mason Fairchild or Kevin Rader. On the offensive line, the big surprise here was Kyle Hergel. Kyle Hergel was the UDFA out of Boston College, who we talked about. We had him on the show after the draft. Kyle Hergel was waived by the New Orleans Saints. That is certainly a guy you would assume would be a practice squad candidate for New Orleans, provided he clears waivers. Fuanga, Lucas Patrick, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, Trevor Penning, Nick Saldiveri, Landon Young, Oli Udoh, Mark Evans. They're not all going to make the team, but those are 9 guys right there that we still haven't heard yet. So the roster cut guys, Oli Udoh, Mark Evans, Landon Young, we'll see how that all goes. On the defensive side, of note, the Jack Heflin, who made the team last year, he has been cut. The one that was sort of on the fence was Isaiah Foskey. We'll see how that goes. Linebackers, Kalecki Hudson was a guy pushing to maybe earn a roster spot. He's been cut. In the defensive backfield, the biggest surprise was Jonathan Abram. So Jonathan Abram was with Jordan Howden last year, one of your starting safeties. They also released Ugo Amadi, who's been a good special teamer for you. So I don't know what will happen with Ugo Amadi, but Jonathan Abram, this is probably one where they cut him with the idea of re-signing him after this cut down. Let's just be very clear. And Dennis Allen said it throughout camp. Can you play number 13, please? This was Dennis Allen during camp. This is when they brought Justin Simmons in, and they were looking at addressing safety with Justin Simmons, and he was asked about the safety spot opposite Tyrann Mathieu.
I haven't seen anything from any one of those safeties yet, okay, probably with the exception of Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, I think ultimately what you're looking for is guys to make plays, guys to have production. So that's interceptions, that's PBUs, that's tackles, guys that are going to play a physical brand of football. Like, those are all the things that I'm looking for, and I'm seeing good things out of the safety position. And yet I haven't seen where somebody's just taken the bull by the horns and, said that this is my job.
So, given that, There was a lot of uncertainty at safety. I still don't believe they're going into this season with only Tyrann Mathieu and Jordan Howden there on the back end. Maybe there's someone they foresee elsewhere, but I think this is probably one of those where you cut him to protect another player, right? There's another player. A lot of this is strategy. There's another player you want to keep on the 53. So as not to risk losing them. So you tell him, hey, we're cutting you. Don't go anywhere because we're going to wait, let all this settle, and then we're going to cut this guy, sign him to the practice squad, and re-sign you. I think that's probably what happens here with Jonathan Abram, but we'll wait and see. The other kind of big surprise here is that they cut Lou Hedley, the punter out of the University of Miami, the Australian who made the team a year ago. Lou Hedley cut, and so Matthew Hayball looks like he has won that job, and Charlie Smith also was waived, so Blake Grupe has won that job. So the same again. If you look at the announced roster moves, of note, the players that were cut. As we look at it here, Jonathan Abram, Ugo Amadi, I certainly think. Andrew Dowell was interesting, who they just brought back. We'll see if maybe he's a candidate for the practice squad. Players they waived of note: Shaq Davis, Kevin Austin, a couple of receivers who were trying to make their way. Kyle Hergel, who we noted as well. Jacob Kabodi, Samson Nakua was also waived as well, as we're looking at this updated from the team. And then the players that are on IR: Kendre Miller, Cameron Peterson, Kevin Rader, and Rajon Wright start the season on IR. So Saints are closer now, and now a whole nother phase of work begins as now you got to go look at what players were cut, look at the waiver wire, and see if there's anybody available that you'd like to add to your roster. And so, as we always say, it's not the final 53, it's the first 53. And today was a big moment for that. Instead of having 3 separate rounds of cuts, it's all in one day, and it makes a very frenetic pace today with some 40 some odd players hitting free agency for the New Orleans Saints. Okay, it's After Further Review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light. Of course, by the way, mentioned it to you yesterday, our friends over at Mockler Beverage, awesome partners, the official beer, of course, of LSU Athletics. They called me yesterday. They said, Scone, we got 6 tickets for LSU and USC in Vegas. You want to give them away? I said, you're darn right I do. Maybe use a little more colorful language. So, if you want the tickets, you have to text me on my show text line with the hashtag Vegas. Text with the hashtag Vegas. Now, the caveat is you got to be in Vegas, and you got to get them from me in Vegas, because I'm not giving you tickets to turn around and sell. So, you got to be in Vegas, and you're going to use them. So if you're going to be in Vegas, you're looking for tickets or looking for an upgrade, I got 3 pairs. I got 6 tickets that we're going to give away in Vegas on Friday on AFR. If you're going to be in Vegas, you want tickets, courtesy of our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light, text me with the hashtag Vegas. Hashtag VEGAS, hashtag Vegas. And we'll pick our winners on site in Las Vegas on Friday. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. I should tell you, you can text me the 225 at 396-4400. That would help. 396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. All right, let's talk some Cruton. Tigers get a cornerback commit over the weekend. They miss out on the number 1 safety in the country. What else is in the queue? How big of a week is this for LSU playing this marquee opener? We'll ask our guy Shea Dixon next on AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. If you are thinking about selling your home, you need to call Darren James. Not sure if you saw, but the Feds ticked interest rates down again. A little drop means, you know what? You get so many more buyers that come into the market. With interest rates coming down, you get more people looking to sell their home as well. So if you're thinking about selling your home before the market starts to get flooded with inventory, you want to beat the rush, call Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. That's agent225.com. You need to sell your home. You get it sold guaranteed with Darren James, the number 1 realtor in the state of Louisiana, number 13 in America on the Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America. You need to sell your home. You need the best. You need Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James. Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 9.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Rolling along. We do it every Tuesday. Glad to have Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, join us, talk a little recruiting. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
Man, I'm doing awesome. I want to get into what happened this past weekend and also the recruiting particulars. But let me start with USC in this game this weekend in Vegas. How big of a deal is this game for recruiting, Shea? And, what are the particulars? I guess a better way to say it is, can recruits go to this game? Do they have any contact with recruits when they're playing this game out in Vegas?
This is why we're so good at this, is I knew that would be the first question you would ask, and I wrote an article about it yesterday. But what makes me slip up is I then didn't Google. I was like, I wonder if, they change the rules every day around here in the NCAA. What is the current rule? So we'll go after what I presume it is, which what it's been in seasons past is neutral sites. So both teams can give tickets or have tickets requested by recruits, but you will not be able to have them on the sidelines or interact with them. But like I said, they can get tickets and get to the game if they're able to make it. And LSU will have, as I wrote in the article, 3 players there, at least 3, who are ranked number 1 in their state, including Louisiana's number 1 player for next year, who also happens to be the number 1 overall prospect in the entire country, a D lineman named Jakeem Stewart out of St. Aug. He's probably been a household name. He was kind of like Fournette coming out of St. Aug, where everybody knew who he was in 8th grade, and he was getting offers and all of that. And now he's headed into his junior season, and the very first game he's going to see is this LSU-USC one, which USC is also a team that's heavily in the mix for him. So It will be good to have him in the stands for that one, obviously, and even better if they get a win. As to your question of what kind of impact could this have, whether recruits are there or watching on TV, given it will be the only game on at the time, a lot of guys will be tuned in and certainly to see the result. And I don't think that much of one, because I look at LSU having lost, let's just make it the Kelly era, but the past 2 season openers to FSU in time games in slots where it was the only game going on, and they end the year with top 5 recruiting classes. So they're ranked number 3 right now. Most of the classes put together. I don't think this has any major impact one way or the other, and I've always said that about one game. And I've said it before that LSU can sign 28 kids, and unless they went undefeated or lost one game, you could poll them on what the record was and who they lost to, and 15% of the kids would get it right. I mean, I just don't think many guys, prospects, view it the same lens as a diehard fan does.
It's so interesting, man. You see it a lot of times with these players. Even, Shea, we go to like media days and you interview guys from other teams, and sometimes their lack of knowledge or awareness of history of the league or programs, it's very telling. It speaks exactly what you're saying. I remember when Sam Montgomery was asked before that 2011 national championship game about Barrett Bryant, he said, "Who does he play for?" And the Alabama media was just incensed. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, that kid, all he does is play Sonic the Hedgehog video games all day. He has no concept.
Sam was a special guy. One of my favorites this year is Karius Kern out of Arkansas, who's committed to LSU, top 3 interior offensive lineman. We have him as a top 50 player. He's one of the best players in the country. This is a kid who, at 300 pounds, is cutting backflips. Elite athleticism, and no shocker, Brad Davis is a great recruiter. But his coach was telling me that, hey, we pushed him towards football in his sophomore year, right after he was kind of freshman balancing basketball and all that. And they had a career day at school, and he came up to the coaches and had seen an Alabama booth and asked the coaches, does Alabama have a football team? And they said, yep, all right, here we go. That's the level of knowledge we've got going. So, and he's now committed to LSU, so he'll be everyone's favorite LSU recruit, the kid who didn't know that Bama even had a football team in ninth grade.
And if anybody would be super pissed, it's the Alabama people. Trust me, I know. All right, Shea, let's talk about what happened this past weekend, and then we'll look ahead. We'll start with the good news, which was Aiden Anding, the cornerback out of Ruston. You called this long ago. He picks the Tigers. Tell us a little thumbnail here on what LSU's getting in Aiden Anding.
A really great athlete. When you look at a kid who's played 4 different sports at different points in high school, put the focus on the football really later, like as a junior and beyond. Sophomore year, he was playing and making some big plays, but is at Ruston. They've got a great staff. It's a great defense, arguably one of the best in Louisiana the past 2 seasons. And he's been a big playmaker. He went up against Trey Green in a state title game. He's held his own at times, and that's a lot to say for a cornerback trying to hold down a 6'6" freaky athlete who is now a freshman on LSU's football team. But he is someone I think that complements so well the 2 other guys in this class, which I think is important. DJ Pickett being the number 1 corner in the country, 6'4", long, can run. All 3 of these guys are very good track athletes. And then Cade Phillips, who was more of your traditional corner. He was ranked initially as a safety, but it became so clear, and Texas recruited him at safety, that his long-term upside was the corner because of how athletic and long he was, ability to turn and run. Then you get a guy like Anding who doesn't have the length of a DJ Pickett, but he's got the athletic background. He's played the position, but is still kind of early in that development stage of it, to where Corey Raymond brings him in, and that's a good 3-man haul right there, let alone whatever else you add. So I think that this add of Aiden Anding is big for corner, which is one of the biggest needs in the entire team when it comes to adding high school prospects, but also keeps the best at home. And that's the strategy right now, more so than ever in the portal era and NIL and all of this, is when Louisiana's churning out the highest per capita rate of NFL players, future NFL players, keep the best guys home. They felt like Aiden Anding was one of those guys.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Speaking of on 3 had the commitment of Jonah Williams, the number 1 safety in America, who, as we know, picked the Longhorns. Shea, best you can tell, how did this all come about with Jonah Williams there to the end?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is one of those recruitments that different teams presumably led at different points. I think that he is a two-sport player. Baseball is his other sport. Obviously, the A&M staff, which is a team he's very into, went to Texas, but I think this became far more about just football in the end, and NIL obviously plays a role in it, but Texas buckled in, and they did a very good job recruiting him down the stretch. There's no denying that. How did they surge? I think that they knew whether it was a heavy push, building even more on the relationships and kind of strengthening their grip with the family more so than people might have realized, and really kind of putting together a good NIL package, all those things together, which you have to do to land top college players right now, came into play here because they entered the week, and I'll give you here the on-3 rankings, or entered Jonah Williams' announcement without a commitment, with one commitment from a top 10 player in Texas. That was Khalid Lockett, a 5-star receiver who was kind of in it with LSU as well. But outside of that, LSU had flipped some guys. Alabama has 2 of the top 10 in Texas. Oregon has DeCorian Moore now, who was once committed to LSU. Ohio State has 2 guys in the top 10 committed out of Texas. Oklahoma took a top 5 player that everyone thought was going to go to Texas, and Michael Fasusi, until the Sooners surged. So it felt very, to me, like a back-against-the-wall moment. And I think that Texas did what they had to do to get him, and LSU would be no different. If you looked up, Matt, the top 5 players in Louisiana were all going to Bama and Texas and A&M and Ohio State, and there's one guy left on the board. Kelly and company better go get that one guy. And I think that's kind of the spot Sark and them were in, and kudos to them. They buckled in and got it done.
Is LSU done at safety?
I think that they very smartly took an approach to where they got Jace Thomas. Like, Jace Thomas's dad played in the NFL. Jace Thomas is a kid who's only played a year of DB, and he's playing for Destrehan, one of the best schools in the state, and starting, and has some great testing numbers. So you add arguably the best safety in Louisiana, you've got him committed. Then they went to Tennessee and got the best safety in the state, and CJ Jim Coyley, who his dad grew up in New Orleans. Frank Wilson had connections there. You add a 4-star safety who's got serious upside and a real high IQ guy, a guy who I think one day will probably, even if he doesn't play safety, he can play linebacker, and he's your next Greg Penn or whomever is out there kind of running the defense for you. So you needed 2 safeties this cycle because we talked about it before. You've got Jacob Bradford, best safety, Blaine Bradford, Jacob this class. Blaine Bradford next year, one of the best safeties in the country, number 1 on 3 right now, and he's out there. I think that ultimately he probably does end up at LSU, and a commitment from Aiden Hall's already in out of Edna Card. He's a top 5 safety, and then we saw what they have as true freshmen that they've just brought in with guys like Deshaun Spears, and then even Kylan Jackson, who's entering year 2 as a redshirt freshman, and others. So this felt like a sandwich year where it was like, hey, go get good players that don't have to start, but you can develop, and that you feel like have high upside. So then you could swing for the fences on a Jonah Williams. Well, no big deal if you miss because you had a couple of guys. I will say, and I've already said his name, I think they can flip Jacob Bradford. He's committed to Houston. He's got an offer. Plays here at Catholic High, obviously. You know that.
Sorry, I had to.
And is someone, hey, look, he's someone the staff feels like is a good enough player to join the roster, develop him, and he'll stick around. He won't hit the portal. And then you'll be able to have a guy who in a couple of years is giving you reps. So, like I said, when you've got the built-in talent that Louisiana does, and the roster expands from 85 to 105 in scholarships, depending on how you want to disperse them out, if you want to go to that number or not, you've got the ability built in to just say, let's take more Louisiana guys, because how often do we see Jacob Bradford go to Houston and have a great career, or whomever go to whatever school, and Dontavian Wicks out of Plaquemine goes to Virginia and plays for a few years, and he looks really good, and he gets drafted in the 3rd round, and now he starts for the Packers. Like, it's one of those things where I think that a state like Louisiana or a school like LSU benefits maybe more than anybody when it comes to expanding a roster and then taking the approach of, let's stick kind of within driving range here of 4 to 7 hours, to Dallas of guys that we really want to build our roster around.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Hey, before you go, I always kind of ask you, and we get into game weeks, we'll start talking about official visitors and all that stuff for home games. We've talked a good bit for a while about Buddy Mathis. Any other body that commitments on the horizon, anybody targets that are percolating that we might see pop soon?
Well, Jamie French, a 5-star receiver, is the other one who's going to announce at the end of the month. LSU's going to have a hat on the table. His mom's from the Felicianas, even though he plays his prep ball in Jacksonville, and that's where they live now. But keep an eye on it. I don't have that gut feel right now to say that I think he ends up at LSU. But you did mention Buddy Mathis. They want to continue to add D tackles or D linemen. They've got 3 already. He could be a 4th. We all feel it on 3 that LSU will be the team. And if you were to pick today, he'd pick LSU, and I think he's going to try to pick here before his season, so within the next week. Beyond that, that's when I think things maybe slow down just a little bit, Matt, because guys start their senior years. LSU's already at, 25 commitments, and I thought they'd sign between 25 and 30, so you're not taking a whole lot more from here. So it's a good place to be in, though, because they have the number 3 class, and they're not really going to drop much further below that just because of how elite the class is. If anything, I think a lot of these guys are going to go up in rankings. So I keep an eye on Buddy Mathis. Look, Rashad Sterling is a guy they like over at Letcher as a DN, but he's been committed to Houston. We mentioned Jacob Bradford. I think guys like that is who we start to keep an eye on.
Shea Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Y'all get over there. Check him out. Make sure you follow him on Twitter as well, at Shea Dixon. Thanks, Shady. Appreciate you, man.
Yep, no problem at all.
All right, be well. It's After Further Review. Good stuff from Shea. We're brought to you by Optimize. GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. It's that simple. Just remember that. GeneratorPeople.com. Why do they call themselves the Generator People? Because it's all they do. At Optimize, they do one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. So their technicians, the technician that comes to your home to service your generator, to install your generator, they weren't installing HVACs yesterday, and now they're doing generators. They do one thing. They're the best at servicing and installing Generac automatic home standby generators. So you know you're going to get exceptional service, exceptional installation. They handle everything. When you have a generator installed, it's not just as simple as saying, you call and they bring one over that day. You have to get permits from the city. You have to deal with the power company as well, getting it installed. There's regulations where it has to be so far from a window or a door. There's all these different things that go into installing a Generac automatic home standby generator, and they're the best. Nobody sells more. You walk into the office at Optimize right there in North Baton Rouge, and you see this trophy case full of awards from Generac because their service and their sales are exceptional. They're the best. They're the number 1 Generac dealer in Louisiana. So that's why they're the Generator People. So go to GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. For Optimize, GeneratorPeople.com. Good stuff from Shea. It is. I'm going to be interested in the numbers, and I know I'm going to keep saying that, but you mentioned Bradford, Jacob Bradford. He mentioned the DN from Letcher. Yes, I mean, those are the type of players. Here's an example. Jark Bernard Converse. Jark Bernard Converse, when he was coming out of Evangel, kind of a borderline guy. You didn't take him coming out of high school. He goes to Oklahoma State. He starts there for 4 years, uses the COVID year, comes to LSU, starts for a season. Really good. He's drafted by the Jets. He was one of the best players in the secondary on the Jets here in the preseason, if you followed any of that. Like, what if you had that guy in Baton Rouge for 4 or 5 years instead of saying, go to Oklahoma State for 4 years and come here for 1? Maximize your time with that guy here. And I think that's the type of player that for a lot of years that got out of the state, that with an expanded roster to 105 scholarship players, you can keep those guys home now. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're here. Tuesday shows powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, go around the SEC. We got Adam Rittenberg from ESPN in about 45 minutes. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Duplessis Builders, DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net. Been telling you about Derek Duplessis, the great team over there. If you're thinking about building a pool, maybe you bought a home with a pool and it needs to be remodeled, renovated, updated, DuplessisBuilders.net. And they're great Tiger fans as well. Told you this great news. They've entered in their first NIL partnership. LSU receiver Kyron Lacey and LSU running back commitment 5-star Harlem Berry, now part of the Duplessis team. They were over at the showroom on Sunday. Pretty cool photo gallery they took. If you want to check it out at their Facebook page or on Instagram, you can just check out Duplessis Builders. But the bottom line is this. You sit down with Derek Duplessis, they're going to go over the whole process of designing and building your pool, your spa, your outdoor kitchen, and you'll get to know the man as well, the integrity, the quality of work, and why they offer a 10-year workmanship warranty when the industry standard is 1 year. It's DuplessisBuilders.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on. She's always staring at me while I'm chugging along.
All right, rolling along. Glad you're with us here. We'll go around the SEC in just a quick second. A lot of people were surprised just a week into fall camp when sophomore tight end Mac Markway left the program abruptly. We didn't know. Brian Kelly said if he was staying in school, if he was leaving. We ultimately did find out that he was, in fact, transferring, and now we have a destination. Mac Markway posting on his Twitter. He's got the Nebraska helmet now as his header. He does have in his description, in his bio there, tight end at Nebraska. Also tweeted a photo of the Nebraska helmet and go Huskers. So Mac Markway now is a member of the Nebraska Cornhusker football program. They opened their season. This is interesting. They opened their season on Saturday against UTEP. So I don't know if Markway is available against UTEP. And by the way, this is very ambiguous. I don't. Matt Rule hasn't made a statement on this yet, and we really don't know. Is he available to play against UTEP, and is he eligible this season? Now, my assumption is he is going to be eligible. The question sometimes is, can you transfer once the semester began? I guess it was before the semester began, actually, when he left LSU. So he started the semester, but you might have to walk on that initial year. So maybe Mac Markway is a walk-on this year. Again, I'm spitting hypotheticals, but we've seen this at times with the exception of guys that are graduates. You might remember in 2018, so Burrow's first year here, Burrow arrived in June, and they went through the summer workouts, and they started fall camp, and you had two quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks, who had been here. You had Justin McMillan and Lowell Narcisse. And if you remember, they both left during fall camp, similar to Markway, once they kind of realized it was going to be Burrow's job. And you had a young redshirt freshman or second year Miles Brennan at that point. So, and Narcisse went to McMillan went to Tulane and started right away, but he was a graduate at that point. So Markway not being a graduate, maybe it's different rules. We'll see. I am assuming he is going to be eligible this year, but in what role, we'll see. For what it's worth, Nebraska's tight end a year ago, Thomas Fidone, had 25 catches for 260 yards last year. He was the second leading pass catcher on the team. Let me say that again slowly so that marinates. The Nebraska tight end a year ago, Thomas Fidone, who's back for his senior year this year, by the way, caught 25 balls for 260 yards and was the second leading pass catcher, had 260 receiving yards. He was number 2 on the team. So clearly Nebraska is in need of weapons, of pass catchers, and I think Mac Markway is a really good player. I mean, he was, by at least one of the scouting service, I think ESPN maybe had him as like the 9th best tight end or 3rd best tight end in the country, something like that, when he was coming out of high school. Markway is one of those prototype guys. He's big, physical, strong, inline blocker, and he's an athletic pass catcher. I think it was just one of those things where he looked around and realized, man, you got an incumbent there in Mason Taylor, and then you look at the two young guys,
Mason Taylor
and Kamorian Pimpton and Trey'Dez Green. I mean, it took all of one practice for people to look at Trey'Dez Green and go, oh, okay, 5-star, I got it. That's different. So, good luck to Mac Markway, now a member of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. All right, y'all, it's after further review. We'll go around the SEC in just a quick second, brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Love telling you about Dr. Blake Williamson and the gang over at the Williamson Eye Center. School's back in. If you have not yet taken your kiddos for their annual eye exam, do it. If they're squinting at the board, maybe they're embarrassed to raise their hand and answer questions because they can't see the board. I mean, I live that. I mean, I know that because I lived it. I mean, I finally got glasses when I was in the 6th grade so I could see the board better. Ultimately ended up having contacts, and I wore contacts for 30 years, maybe 25 years, until I met Dr. Blake Williamson, went for the consultation. We decided to move forward with LASIK, and it's the best decision I could have made. Wish I'd done it a decade sooner. WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. No matter your age or refractive issue, if you want to see 20/20, you want to ditch contacts and glasses forever, I'm jumping on a plane on Thursday. Not even thinking about contact, solution, cases, glasses, anything. Just going to Vegas, I can see. It's very liberating. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. All right, let's do it. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss's Lane Kiffin has hired his brother Chris as a personnel analyst, the 4th time they've worked together. The Rebs open up Saturday against Furman. Chris Kiffin most recently was with the Texans as their linebackers coach after coaching D-line for the Browns from 2020 through 2022. He's making his 3rd stop at Ole Miss.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
The NCAA has suspended Oklahoma assistant and former running back DeMarco Murray for 1 game for impermissible conduct. They found that the recruiting violations occurred in both football and track and field at Oklahoma. Murray suspended due to contacting 17 different prospects and their families over 16 months when he wasn't supposed to be doing so. He's been the running backs coach there in Norman since 2020. Sooners open up this weekend against Temple.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Mark Stoops confirms Cortland Ford is unavailable for the Open. He's their starting right tackle, by the way. They open up against Southern Miss at home this weekend. Stoops said Ford's injury is what's going to keep him out for an extended period of time. Ford is a redshirt senior, transferred to Kentucky before last year after spending 3 seasons at USC, where he started 11 times for the Trojans.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
And Andrew Armstrong, the wide receiver, questionable for the Razorbacks in their opener. Sam Pittman alerting the media to that news. So they really won't know until game time whether or not Armstrong is going to be available for the opener. Armstrong was the leading receiver for Arkansas a year ago, 56 catches, for 764 yards and 5 touchdowns. He has been practicing in fall, but hasn't really been fully participating as he works his way through this injury. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Our Tuesday show is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. You want a tractor? Bunky and below, only one place you're going. And you know you're buying green. No other stinking tractor in any other color is worth a darn, so you better go buy you a John Deere, and you know it. Nothing runs like a deer, and Sunshine is your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Bunky and below, you want a deer, you want Sunshine. Sunequip.com, Sunequip.com, Sunequip.com. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. All right, y'all, we'll knock out a quick break. Wrap up hour number 1. God, we got a lot to get to here. 2 things. People who are kind of maligned in the public eye. Jimbo Fisher and Jerry Jones both making waves with their comments in the last 24 hours. You'll hear from both of them. Then I, of course, have a reaction. And coming up in 15 minutes, we'll talk a little bit about the challenge. I teased this yesterday. The challenge Brian Kelly, the LSU defense, are facing specifically against Lincoln Riley. I'll add some color to that picture here in about 15 minutes. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You know what to do. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or better yet, calling all creatives. You got Microsoft Paint? What's that little thing that you got Microsoft Paint? You ever use Microsoft Paint?
Not anymore.
Did you ever use Mario Paint?
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, I'm going to tell you what. There's a lot of 90s, 80s babies who grew up in the 80s and 90s know what Mario Paint is. Do you know what Mario Paint is, Paulie?
I do not.
Oh, man, we missed you. I tell you, there's a lot of head nod going on in cars all around town right now, Muse. You want to bust out Mario Paint and make you a Get Gordon billboard? Do it. You can win up to $2,000 in prizes. Or if you want to use Canva or Photoshop or any of those other really cool apps, you can do that as well. Design Gordon's next billboard. You can win up to $2,000 in prizes and, of course, see your design on a billboard right on the side of the interstate. So go to getgordon.com/billboards, getgordon.com/billboards. Get Gordon. Get it done.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless...
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Snip, snip, beep, beep, bleep, blue. Yeah! Love it, Muse. How you like it?
It's a great song. It's fantastic, as a matter of fact.
I love looking at these texts. Who's that lady?
What lady? What are you talking about?
Who's the chick? Yeah, so if you weren't here yesterday, we re-imaged the station. So the best way I say it, I've literally been here. So, Cade and I were the first 2 employees of this station. We're here the day they turned the lights on. And we have had the same imaging for almost 15 years now. And it's like when you buy a home and you love it. But, like when you buy a home in the 80s and then, you're there for 15 years, that wood paneling don't look so good anymore. And sometimes it's time to take out the wood paneling. It's not that you didn't love it, didn't have great memories and fond memories there, but sometimes you need a new coat of paint. You need new appliances, So that's where we're. And I was in a manager's meeting and some of the other stations here were getting new imaging. I said, I want new imaging. They're like, okay. So we did. Amanda is our new voice girl, voice lady, voice woman, voice person. I don't want to call her a girl. She's a grown woman. But I think it sounds really good. It's going to take getting used to for a lot of people, but I don't care. It was time for a fresh coat of paint, and I'm excited about it. Well, there's still stuff we got to iron out. I mean, like Muse and I were talking yesterday, the rejoins, when you got all the imaging around, then you come with the bed. Just a little different. So, But we'll get used to it, and I'm excited about it. So feedback always welcome, man. Y'all let us know what you think. But that's who that is. That's what that is. So we re-imaged the station, and I just want a new, fresher sound. So that's what that is. I know people are resistant to change. I understand that, and I respect that. I just don't care because we're changing the image. We've changed the imaging for the station.
Yeah, that's kind of done already.
Yeah, no, it's done. And we're not going back. So, but we'll tweak as we need to. Hey, let's make this a poll. We haven't done a poll question in a long time, Use.
I know, we haven't.
Who is hated more or who is least liked in Texas? Or which Texan is least liked, Jimbo Fisher or Jarrah?
Which Texan?
Well, I guess Jimbo's not a Texan.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. He was at A&M. Just say who
is more disliked in Texas?
Who is, or not just in Texas, anywhere. There are 2 people tied to Texas, but people here have strong feelings about Jarrah and Jimbo. Just who is liked less, or who do you hate more? Is maybe however you want to put it. Jimbo Fisher, Jerry Jones. Who do you hate more? Put it that way. Who do you hate more? Jimbo Fisher, Jerry Jones. Jimbo was on Sportsmanlike. By the way, our guy PB. The last couple days, Peter Burns and Courtney Cronin were hosting on Sportsmanlike, which is weekday mornings on ESPN Radio. It's the national show. The regular cast and crew were out, so PB and Courtney Cronin were in. And they had Jimbo on, and this is what Jimbo said, which got a lot of headlines. By the way, you could read about this yesterday at LouisianaSports.net.
I miss the day-to-day interaction with the practices. I'm watching a kid grow where, all the media can't be there, and he gets his butt chewed out, but then the next day he grows like a parent does. You know what I'm saying? I miss that part of the game and those interactions and having those meetings afterwards with the kid, and he's struggling, and you're trying to explain to him why he's doing good, why he's doing bad. I mean, all those types of things you truly miss. But, I'm still young enough that, I'm like I say, I'm gonna be ready to roll probably here pretty soon. We'll see when the season ends if the right opportunities are there.
He's going to get a chance to coach again. Jimbo, for all the mockery around what happened at A&M, and a lot of it's warranted. I'm not saying it wasn't. He never met the very lofty expectations that were there. He's still a guy that's a national championship winning coach. Les Miles got a head coaching job again after he was fired at LSU. It was Kansas. I'm not saying it's a great job. I'm not telling you Jimbo's getting a top 5, top 10, top 20 job in the country. But there is a program, a power program that is going to hire Jimbo Fisher to say, come be our coach. And money's not going to be an object for him. So if what he's saying is true, and what he misses is the day-to-day, the interaction, the opportunity to coach a kid, develop, watch him grow, then yeah, that opportunity is going to be there for Jimbo somewhere. Or he can go to Nick Saban's house for wayward coaches, although Nick is not there anymore, be an analyst somewhere, and then get his opportunity to be a coach again once he's an analyst somewhere. But look, Bobby Petrino's done it. Lots of coaches have done it. Jimbo will have his opportunity if he wants to get back into it. Jera, I'm running out of time, so I'm less than a minute, went on a profane rant in defense of his abilities as a general manager. I'll get to that here in just a quick second. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration. Kill mold, remove odors. As a matter of fact, a listener, Jeff, texted me earlier, said, hey, hired your guys over at Parish Restoration for a fogging mold job at a place down in New Orleans. Y'all, New Orleans is like the mold capital of the world. I mean, it's humid and it's wet. So if you got mold, call Parish Restoration. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens. Great sanitization product. It's Parish Restoration. Just go to parishbuilt.com, hit the restoration tab, parishbuilt.com. Just get a quote. You'll be stunned at how much more cost-efficient and cost-effective this is. parishbuilt.com. Okay, Brian Kelly talking about the Trojans next.
AFR.
Hey, look, if you're thinking of buying land and you need First South Farm Credit, your first call needs to be to First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Y'all, hunting season's just about here, and you know this as well as I do. Maybe you're like, y'all know I ain't a hunter. I'm not. I'm not a guy that's going to go call First South Farm Credit to buy hunting property, but you better believe if it's land as an investment, if it's buying land to build your family's dream home. For those of you in agriculture, farmers know about First South Farm Credit because for 100 years, that's where farmers have gone to buy land. You need 1,000 acres for agriculture? Boom, First South Farm Credit. And the truth is, a lot of people that buy land are already land owners, so you can even roll your equity from your current property into a new property, a new project. It's First South Farm Credit. Hear this all the time. A lot of people from New Orleans, maybe moving to the North Shore, commuting into the city every day. You want to buy those 20 acres in Tangipahoa? You can do it, and First South Farm Credit can help. FirstSouthland.com, FirstSouthland.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Dolphins receiver Odell Beckham Jr. undisclosed injury will start this season on the PUP list, so he's out at least the first 4 games of the season. Miami had signed OBJ to fill its need at wide receiver 3 alongside Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Among the moves made as teams trimmed to get to the 53-man roster, the Chiefs cut receiver Kadarius Toney. Even though holdout edge rusher Hassan Reddick hasn't taken part in a single practice or meeting with the Jets since his trade from the Eagles, Coach Robert Saleh said there's still a path for him to play in the season opener. Reddick, regarding his holdout, shouldn't be the one to blink first with the Jets, advises ESPN's Booger McFarland.
Listen, the Jets made a mistake by trading for him and not giving him a new deal. So that's already out there. If I'm him, I would probably not come in and tell the Jets, hey, you want me in, sign me, and add $2.5 to $3 million on top so I can pay my fine so I can break even when this deal is over, because you knew exactly what I wanted when you traded for me.
NFL owners voted to change the league's leadership structure, allowing private equity firms to purchase limited stakes in NFL teams.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Oh!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sir. And a Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Adam Rittenberg is going to be here in 18 minutes. Adam Rittenberg of ESPN, National College Football writer. We're looking forward to that conversation. Always appreciate his time, especially a busy time as college football getting underway in full and earnest this weekend. I want to delve into what Brian Kelly had to say specifically about USC, and also specifically the challenge of Lincoln Riley. I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but I teased this at the end of the hour, so I don't want to let it go any further for those that were wanting to hear it. So Jerry Jones, just very quickly. Jerry Jones, of course, bought the Cowboys in 1989. In 35 years, of course, he had the great run in the 90s with Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, where they won 3 Super Bowls. And other than that, it's been a lot of misses and kind of a lot of mockery for their inability to get it right. Well, Jerry Jones gave an interview to Clarence Hill, who's covered the Cowboys forever for like nearly 30 years. And there's apparently a new website, alldlls.com. And Jerry Jones went on a profanity-laden rant about his ability to be a GM. I'm just going to read these quotes because it's all in print. There's no audio of it, at least not that's been released. So I'll read it. Here's Jerry Jones, quote, "I've done it all. So I have an inordinate amount of confidence that spell it all the way, if anybody can figure out how to get this S done, I can figure out how to get it done. I've been there every which way from Sunday, and I busted my behind a bunch. And there's nobody living that's out cutting and shooting that can't give you a bunch of times they busted their behind. So hell no. There's nobody that could effing come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM any better than I can. Plus, I'm where the buck stops. When it F's up, I got to cover it. And so there, you can't give anybody enough. Can't give. There's nobody can do it. I'm working really hard, by the way, to make sure I don't slip up because there's a lot of F's and S's and A's in here. I effing had hundreds of bad days. I'm emotional about it sometimes. Well, running this thing, that's who I want to make the last call. Now, when I can't effing think, when I'm old and I can't even do it, but I'm a long way from not being able to do it too. When asked why he wouldn't hire someone else to be the GM, quote, the reason I don't let somebody else be the GM is because I don't have anybody that I will let do it to actually do it right. And they're going to have to come to me because I know where it is that you're going to pay for it. If I didn't give an S, if this wasn't fun for me to do or interesting for me to do, whatever you want to call it, the facts are I really would rather be effing around like this. The point is I love this, and you know I do. I think that says everything. Jerry wants to win, but this is something that's a really fun hobby for him. It's a fun job, so he's not going to fire himself. Yes, he wants to win desperately, but he's not going to fire himself even though he can't see he's the problem. So through the first 30 Super Bowls, and by the way, this year's Super Bowl 59. So for the first 30 Super Bowls, the Cowboys made the NFC Championship game 16 times. 16 of the first 30. In 28 years since, 0. But here's an interesting tidbit where I think Jera deserves some credit. He can build a roster that wins. You realize over the last 10 years, who are the winningest teams in the NFL? Who are the winningest teams in the NFL? Muse, Pauly, got a list here. The top 10 winningest teams in the NFL, most wins since 2013. Who do you think?
I think the Saints are on the list.
Saints are on the list, ahead of Dallas.
Yeah. Patriots are on the list.
Patriots are on the list.
Philly?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, they are below Dallas.
Just below Dallas. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Saints, Patriots.
Pauly, what you got?
I'll say Packers.
Packers, good.
Rams?
Nope.
The Rams? Okay.
Chiefs, good.
Oh,
Chiefs
yeah.
top the list, 118. Which is surprising, too, because at the beginning of that, they were picking first in the draft when they took Eric Fisher, if you remember.
Let's see, last 10 years.
Steelers,
very good.
That's good, yeah.
There's one more.
I'll say Ravens.
Ravens are one below Dallas.
Bills, Buffalo.
Nope. They won a Super Bowl. Played for another.
Seattle?
It is Seattle. So here's your most wins in the NFL over the past decade. Chiefs, Patriots, Seahawks, Packers and Steelers are tied for 4th. Saints 5th. Dallas Cowboys. And then Ravens, Bills, Eagles, Titans. Y'all, make all the fun you want of Jera. And he deserves it at times. I mean, I get it. But at the same time, they've won a lot of football games. They just can't win in the playoffs. And maybe that's the inability to find the right coach to win in the playoffs. Sometimes it's just bad luck. I mean, Des Bryant against Green Bay, they got screwed. They did. Tony Romo dropping a snap on a field goal. Like, that ain't Jera's fault. Built the roster, had him there. So, listen, I'm not ardently defending him. Because ultimately, when things go wrong, like, why were you playing in Seattle instead of at home? Because you didn't win the division or you had a trap. Like, that ultimately, the buck stops with the owner. So, and the GM, who's the same person in this instance. So, yeah, when those things go wrong, but it ain't like he's terrible. He's a brilliant business guy who's built an organization worth more than $10 billion. He has built a $10 billion business around the Dallas Cowboys. Brilliant. He's a brilliant businessman who has marketed this and made this brand. I'm sitting on Government Street in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, talking about a quote on alldlls.com about the owner of the Cowboys. When I don't care at all about the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I'm not a fan. There's no real interest here in that. He's done a brilliant job marketing it, despite the fact that they haven't won big. And he's made them into a gigantic $10 billion organization. And they've won a ton of games. They just haven't won the last game. And I don't think they're going to do it. Not with him there, anyway. But sometimes perspective matters, man. Like, it ain't like he's terrible at his job. He's built it into a giant business. He's won a ton of games. He just hadn't won the last game. And when that's the standard, it's hard to live up to. It's quite honestly, I don't mean to make a what and what combo or comparison, but it's the problem I think Kalen DeBoer is going to have in Alabama. He's going to win a lot of games. I just don't think he's going to win the last game. And when that's the expectation, they're going to run you out of town. All right, we're brought to you by Evermore. As a matter of fact, excuse me. I'm going to open this prop on my set. Drink Evermore, y'all. Evermore.com, Evermore.com. You know, speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, who Jarrah eventually is going to pay, I'm sure. Dak is an endorser of Evermore. Evermore is a huge national brand. Evermore.com, Evermore.com. So you'll find Evermore all over the country in great local retailers. So go into the grocery store, the convenience store near you, and if they don't have Evermore, make sure you ask for it. Go to Evermore.com, EVAMOR, Evermore.com. I love when y'all send me these pictures as well. This was Brian Dubb. Brian Dubb sent me this via Twitter. Finally found them in Oklahoma City. $1.89 at Crest Foods. Love this water. There it is right there. There's Evermore. Brian Dubb in Oklahoma City. I got a tweet yesterday from a guy in Dallas who found Evermore. Take a picture of it, y'all. Shoot me a tweet. I'll shout you out on radio. Shoot me a tweet, a Facebook post, whatever. Tag me in it. Instagram. Would love to. And just tag Evermore as well. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. Natural artesian water. Check it out. Evermore.com. Okay. It's after further review. What are we going to do, Muse? We got Rittenberg at 4. At what time? What time, Muse? What time is Adam Rittenberg coming on, Muse?
He's coming on 5 minutes after 4:15.
Oh, what time would that be? I'm not really good at math.
That would be 4:20.
Oh, really, Muse?
Yeah.
Why did you schedule him at 4:20, Muse?
Because Adam's doing us a solid. He's being real flexible. He had a little prior commitment that might have ran a little over at 4:15, so he said, "Can it just be a few minutes after?" I'm like, "How about 4:20?"
Oh, it's not so that we'd be occupied at 4:20, so you could maybe relax a little bit. Excuse me, I need some Muse. I need some Evermore. Excuse me.
I'll get you a swig there, man.
Got it. Natural artesian water. It's wonderful. I highly recommend. Check it out. It is so choice.
But yeah, no.
I highly recommend picking one up if you have the means. Ferris Bueller. When he's driving the Ferrari. Anyway. And I really do have a frog in my throat, though. You could have talked while I was doing it.
Well, anyway. So, I mean, you're wanting to do the BK thing.
Well, I have this BK thing, but I got like 3 minutes here, and I don't want to. I can't do it in 3 minutes.
No,
I can't.
I don't know if you can do it in 5 minutes though either. Can you?
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna break. We're gonna come back. I have an interesting story about week 0 from this past weekend. We'll do that. We'll bridge to Adam Rittenberg. We'll talk some college football week 1 with Adam Rittenberg from ESPN.com, and I'll get to the Brian Kelly story here in 17 minutes. So my sincere apologies. I hate to tease things and not get to it or have things jumble, but sometimes I just start talking long-winded. And Jerry had a long, profanity-laden quote that I couldn't.
He was kind of mad.
I'd say honest. And you don't always get honesty when cameras and microphones are on because you're worried about what the reaction is. But I think Jerry's at that point in his life where he doesn't care. Like, I don't in any way mean for this to be offensive, but everybody knows old people that just don't care. Like, they're at the point where, like, I've lived for 80 years. I just don't care anymore. Like, I don't care what you think or what you think because it's trifling. It just don't matter. You know what I mean? So, like, I just think that's where Jared is. He's at the point where he don't care what you think. He's out here trying to spend his billies and try to get him another Super Bowl. See if he can. Hope he doesn't. The Saints to get another one. Sigh. AFR.
After further review.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Seagan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Love telling you about Clegg's Nursery. With those 4 locations, no matter where you are in greater Baton Rouge, there's a Clegg's near you. And y'all, we are inching closer to fall. I'm excited about it. Football season is here, you know that. And how about this? Football season in fall also means it's hunting season. And I just saw this on the Facebook page. It's in. Told you last week they had Buckbusters. How about Mo Bucks? How about Deer Corn? They got it in right now at all 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. How about the Buck Forage Oats? They got them as well at Clegg's. You ready to put out those rice bran? They got it. You ready to put out those plots? Ready to bring them on in so you can shoot them so I can eat them? Get by and see our friends at Clegg's Nursery.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150. $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, you know, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, you know. We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Week 1 staring us in the face, but good opportunity to recap what happened in week 0. So you know Georgia Tech pulled off the upset of number 10 Florida State. And boy, was ESPN rewarded. College Game Day was there, and they got a top 10 upset. And ESPN drew 4.9. This is from Sports Business Journal, by the way. ESPN drew 4.99 million viewers. I'm going to give you some perspective on that. So a year ago, Notre Dame played Navy in Ireland. That drew 3.8 million. It was up 31%. Now, it's fair to mention, that the Notre Dame-Navy game was not competitive, and this was a game where a top 10 team fell to an unranked team. So naturally, that's going to help. But Notre Dame is such a massive national brand, and you can roll your eyes all you want, and I do as well, but the bottom line is Notre Dame draws because they have national appeal and even international appeal. So yes, seeing a 31% increase on that number from a game that included Notre Dame is stunning. And then a year before, Fox drew 4.42 million for Northwestern Nebraska. That was the game where Scott Frost, the onside kick and the what are you doing? And you remember the game. That was really the beginning of the end. Or maybe that was the end of the end for Scott Frost. In any way, ESPN rewarded in a big way for that game with Georgia Tech and Florida State, week 0 over in Ireland. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us. Week 1 is, tick-tocking right down to it. Adam Rittenberg, ESPN, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Adam, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Excited about the weekend. Is there a game on the marquee that for one reason or another you're most looking forward to this weekend?
You know, the game I keep coming back to is Miami against Florida, obviously, in the first game. And I just think that there's so much on the line for both for different reasons. You know, with Florida State losing in that week 0 game, I think the ACC appears more wide open than ever. And Miami, a team that hasn't won the ACC since it joined the conference, maybe has an opportunity to take a big step in year 3 under Mario Cristobal with this type of roster and get into the playoff. But if they can't win games like this in the swamp against a vulnerable Florida team, it's hard to see them going out and winning the ACC. And then for Florida, we all know how difficult the back end of their schedule is. They have also Miami and UCF coming into their stadium, and there's obviously a lot of pressure on Billy Napier in year 3. So that's the one my eyes keep coming back to, just because there seems to be so much on the line for both teams.
Do you think that with conference expansion, Brian Kelly alluded to this on Monday, that with conference expansion, these marquee openers may go the way of the dodo bird? Have you thought much about that, Adam, and what may happen to college football scheduling with expanded league schedules?
It would be unfortunate if it did. I've been beating the drum for better schedules for forever, and we have now more opportunities for the playoff. No division, so you're going to have fewer lulls when two teams play one another. So that would be a shame, but it certainly could happen, especially if teams don't see the value in playing a marquee non-conference opponent as far as getting into the playoffs. So, for example, if teams like Ohio State and Missouri can get into the playoffs this year, or, hey, let's face it, Michigan the last couple of years, not playing anybody really out of conference, it didn't hurt them as far as getting into the playoffs. So I think it ultimately will depend on how much total strength of schedule will kind of matter in terms of the playoff selection. I really do hope that we'll have enough of these games, and not just the rivalry games like Florida State that are played every year, but games like Notre Dame and Texas A&M or Texas and Michigan. I mean, these are great games that I think give the fans what they want. And it would be a shame to see those go away, but it's certainly possible. It's a copycat sport.
It is, and it's just hard to imagine coaches who are in the self-preservation business putting themselves at a disadvantage. Like LSU is going to play both USC and UCLA this year in addition to 8 league games. It's just atypical to see something like that since I mentioned it. What is your thought on the Southern Cal Trojans that LSU is going to face on Sunday night out in Las Vegas?
Well, I think the most interesting thing to me isn't necessarily the quarterback situation, and it is still interesting because Miller Moss hasn't been the full-time starter and has patiently waited his turn, much like Garrett Nussmeier has there at LSU. But you can kind of expect Lincoln Riley's offenses to produce. They have throughout his career. To me, it's the defense, and a lot like LSU, a revamped side of the ball, a very expensive new coaching staff brought in by Lincoln Riley, led by Danton Lynn, who did a great job in his first season across town at UCLA last year. That staff includes Matt Entz, who's a 2-time FCS national championship winning coach at North Dakota State. They've really emphasized getting bigger along the line of scrimmage. And I think that to me is most interesting. Can USC's defensive front seven match up with what might be the best offensive line in college football this year? Because if they can't, and they're certainly going to have a hard time when they get into the Big Ten as well, and they take on teams like Michigan and Penn State and so forth. And so, again, I think USC will put up points. They always do under Riley, but how will they look defensively? Are they able to physically match up, and are they able to avoid some of the schematic breakdowns that occurred far too often the last couple of years and ultimately led to the removal of Alex Grinch and then Danton Lynn coming in as his replacement?
Where do you fall on Brian Kelly's team year 3 under BK?
Yeah, I mean, very similar. I mean, as you probably talked about on your show, like strikingly similar.
Sure.
Year 3 with who the quarterback is, with the defensive setup. Obviously, Blake Baker's now the highest paid assistant in college football, so they spent a lot of money to rehab their defense. Now, in talking to both BK and Lincoln here in the preseason, I do get the sense that LSU's roster is in better shape overall than USC's. Going into Lincoln's third year. And so now, can Blake Baker get a lot out of that defense, front seven in particular? We know that they're not where LSU should be in the back end. I think they'll get better as the season goes on, and they'll ultimately get better in future seasons in the secondary. But how does that front seven perform? That's going to be fascinating in a game like this, but certainly as they get into the SEC. I'd come to terms with the fact that LSU is now an offensive-driven program. I don't think that's going to change under Brian Kelly's watch. But if they want to win a national championship, and that's the sole reason he took the job, they're going to have to get better on the defensive side.
He's Adam Rittenberg, ESPN, senior college football writer, on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg, if you want to give him a follow. The other game on the marquee, maybe the biggest game on the marquee, if not LSU and USC, is probably Texas A&M Notre Dame. And Notre Dame has legitimate national championship aspirations this year under Marcus Freeman. Are they warranted aspirations?
Yeah, they could be, but it's funny, and I resist the temptation to do this in the 12-team playoff era, which is write off a team if they don't win their first game. But Notre Dame is in a very precarious position if they don't win this game, and they're an underdog right now, a small underdog going to College Station, because they don't have the schedule strength, in my view, to overcome some of the other contenders. I mean, they're going to be an at-large no matter what because they're not in the conference.
Right.
So the best they can do is that number 5 seed. You look at their schedule, only 2 other true road games after A&M. We know they're going to face a Florida State team that will have at least one loss and maybe a lot more. They finished the season at USC, a team that, again, is projected to maybe go 8-4, maybe 9-3 at the very best, but probably in that 7-5, 8-4 range. So if Notre Dame can't win this game, they're not going to have a whole lot to hang their hat on as far as playoff selection going forward. So it's a critical game. I do believe they're better than A&M. I think Riley Leonard will really help this offense. Mike Denbrock, who obviously you guys know there in Baton Rouge, returning to Notre Dame is a really positive step. In talking to Mike a few weeks ago, he mentioned to me that, hey, this offense can be explosive. They just need to believe it, meaning the players, that, hey, we can move the ball down the field in chunks and do things in a dynamic way in the passing game. And that's going to be interesting to see in week 1. Tough road environment, obviously a talented team. Mike Elko used to be the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. He was Riley Leonard's coach last year, so there's a lot of weird things that maybe play into A&M's favor. But again, I believe Notre Dame's better. We'll see if they can get it done, because if they don't, they're going to be on very, very thin ice as far as making the college football playoff.
Adam, when you talk to people around college football, Connor Wigman to me is one of the more, let me say the hype. I hope I'm not overusing that word, but the confidence around Connor Wigman surprises me a little, just because there's such a small sample size of what we've seen from him.
Yeah.
What do you think about Wigman in that A&M offense and that team this year under year 1 of Mike Elko?
Yeah, I think there's certainly promise there, but I need to see more because we haven't seen much of him. And I know there's confidence within the program. Talking to guys like Colin Klein in the offseason, they're optimistic that he's going to be a great fit, especially in this scheme. But he's got to show he can stay on the field. He's got to show he can deliver against, again, one of the better defenses he'll face all season. This Notre Dame defense is for real. Al Golden and Marcus Freeman have done a great job in building this group up. They've got 2 of the best defensive backs in college football, and Xavier Watts, who was the National Defensive Player of the Year, and then Benjamin Morrison, who should be a first-round draft pick. They're very solid in the front 7, maybe a little bit thin at linebacker, but I think that group will hold up well. And this is a group that I saw with my own eyes made Caleb Williams look awful last year. And here in Chicago, we're hoping that that's not the case here going forward. But that's going to be a real challenge for Connor Wigman right away to go against this Notre Dame defense.
Before you go, last thing, time very much appreciated. How many teams each do you think the SEC and the Big Ten get into the playoff? I don't need you to, if you have a prediction, fine, but how many teams each do you think they get?
Yeah, so I have Notre Dame in the playoffs. So, taking away one of the 7 at-larges.
Yeah.
We know they're obviously going to have one. Maybe they split the remaining 6, and so each would have 4. I think it's probably going to be 4 for one, 3 for another, and then another Big 12 or ACC team, if I did my math correctly, will get in.
Yeah.
So who gets 4, who gets 3 is up for debate. I think probably the SEC is better positioned to get more in because you have your Georgias and your Alabamas, but you also have Ole Miss, which has a great chance, Missouri, LSU, Tennessee. Who knows, maybe A&M, although I'm not making that prediction right now. So I think the SEC has a few more contenders, unless Michigan can show that, hey, the drop-off isn't severe, or that Penn State can show, hey, we've got an offense that can move the ball down the field at a better rate than we have, because they're still going to be very talented on the defensive side, and they don't play Michigan. So I think the Big Ten should have 3 at least. I would say the SEC's trending more towards 4.
Adam Rittenberg, ESPN senior college football writer, on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg. Y'all give him a follow. Adam, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for carving out a few minutes for us.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Good stuff there from Adam. Y'all have heard me ask that question to a million people about the number, and I keep asking it to hammer home the point that if you think the league is getting 5 and 6 teams in, I'm not saying there will never be a year where they get 5. I don't ever see a year where they get 6. I'm not saying there won't be a year where they get 5. But 3 stretch 4 is more likely what you're going to see. There's going to be representation. And the problem with that is there are so many fan bases who in a 12-team, I've gone over the numbers with you, in a 12-team playoff who are convinced, 12-team will be in every year. And it's just, it don't math. It just don't math. So what the committee does, how they manage this, is just fascinating to me. We're all going to watch and learn together. Maybe I'll be dead wrong. But I'm just looking at a 10-year precedent of what this committee has shown with 4 teams, that I think that's probably the same thoughts they use when you get to the back of this playoff in the at-larges. Okay. It is after further review. We're glad you're with us. Love telling you about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Heading into fall, guys, if you're going to be absent for a few months because of football season, maybe thrill her with a gift to buy you a little leeway. Lee Michaels can help. lmfj.com is in Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. 2 locations in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, 9 locations in all. So when they buy diamonds for 9 stores, they're buying in enough bulk that they can give you great prices and great selection. It's not the impersonal cookie-cutter box store, and it's not so small that the selection is low and the prices are high. Lee Michaels is that perfect middle ground where you're always going to get the Lee Michaels experience and an exquisite selection. If they don't have what you want, they'll make it or they'll find it. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. Okay, y'all, let me knock out a quick break. I do want to circle back to the thing we talked about. Brian Kelly specifically talking about Southern Cal, and I want to paint some color around the challenge of facing a Lincoln Riley offense. We're going to get to that next. It's AFR.
After further review.
You're a business owner struggling to find the right people to do those jobs that are hard to fill. You need Glow Resources. They are complete employer solutions, and Glow Resources proof is in the pudding. They have a 93% retention rate. When businesses call Glow Resources and say, hey, we need help finding X, Glow Resources goes to work through their networks, finding the exact right person, and they have a 93% retention rate. So if you just have massive turnover, and that turnover is affecting your efficiency and your bottom line at your business, you need Glow Resources. Get it right the first time with Glow Resources. And if for whatever reason the hire doesn't work, they'll either give you a prorated refund or they'll find a replacement, a new candidate, for free. Learn more. Start with that initial consultation with our friends over at Glow Resources. You can check them out online at glowresources.com, GLO, glowresources.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
There's a lot of history and tradition, you know. I mean, playing in the Coliseum, I think, really kind of brings it more to light, right? You know, you get the White Horse running and the Trojan Band is playing and it's the Coliseum. And, you know, that pageantry is really, it's part of the fabric of college football, much like, you know, Death Valley or any of the other great venues.
Brian Kelly talking about playing USC, something he did every year for a decade while he was at Notre Dame and played and competed and coached against some great USC teams and for some really good Notre Dame teams as well. But while he was at Notre Dame, Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma. So it wasn't exactly a what and what for what you're going to see. But I did ask Brian Kelly if there was anything in playing USC for a decade that he could take away that might help his team in this game.
The 2019, 20, 21 version of USC was built on the air raid as well. So there's some similarities, you know, from that perspective. You know, Lincoln Riley is a great play caller. So, you know, I'm not here to argue who's a better play caller, but there were similarities in terms of what they were trying to do offensively. So that's why the transition in terms of what they went to offensively was pretty seamless. Pretty similar there, but you're going to get outstanding skill players on the field. You're going to get players that on both sides of the ball, to your naked eye, you know, you're going to go, that looks like an SEC player, and that's what we'll get on Sunday.
It also helped that Lincoln Riley went to SC and had Caleb Williams come with him. But As we have talked quite a bit throughout this offseason about the LSU defense, and understandably why that's been just a giant talking point. We all know it. I don't need to rehash it. The closer we get to this game, I think I'm falling more firmly in line with, I believe LSU's defense is going to be better. As we've said, it'd be hard to be worse from literally the worst defense ever. I believe they've limited mistakes. They've worked very hard to cut down coverage busts, as Brian Kelly and Blake Baker have talked about a lot. And when you're not thinking as much, you're playing free and fast and physical, and I think you're just going to be better as a result. However, I don't know necessarily that you're going to see that on full display Sunday because of Lincoln Riley. Y'all, what I'm about to tell you is just irrefutable. Lincoln Riley became an offensive coordinator in the 2010 season at East Carolina. As the OC at East Carolina for 5 seasons, here's the points per game. 36, 26, 31, 40, 35. He gets the Oklahoma job as the offensive coordinator. 7 years at OU as the OC and the head coach. Here's the points per game. 43.9, 45.1, 48.4, 42.1, 43, and in his last year at OU, 39.1. 2 years at USC, 41.3, 41.8. Y'all, from 2010 through 2023, with Lincoln Riley calling plays, his second year in 2011 at East Carolina, they averaged 26.2. Since then, there's one season from 2012 through 2023, one time when his team didn't average at least, 2 times they didn't average at least 40 points per game. It was his last year at East Carolina when they were at 35.8, and his last season at Oklahoma when they were at 39. Point is, USC's offense is going to go. They're going to go because he's going to make it go. Because whatever you think of him as a head coach, bringing Alex Grinch, retaining Alex Grinch last season when they should have gotten rid of him after year 1, now making the change. Whatever you think of the inability to win the big game, LSU blowing the doors off of him in the playoffs, whatever you think of him, there is an undeniable truth about Lincoln Riley. His offenses are awesome, and they always are. Brian Kelly was asked about the hallmarks of a Lincoln Riley offense. Here's what he said.
Lincoln runs an air raid offense, so it is predicated on, attacking, playing fast. It's an offense that certainly has been prolific in the time that he has run it. I think they were top 5 in the country in terms of passing offense, and certainly, with Caleb Williams running that offense, it was elite. But again, that's what you're looking at, an air raid offense that has its basic premise in pushing the tempo. If they can spread you out and they can get numbers, they're going to run the football as well. So this is not just throw it all over the place.
If they can spread you out, get numbers, they'll run the football. Of course, Woody Marks from Mississippi State, now at SC, that's something worth watching. Obviously, how that matches up against LSU's defense is huge. But Lincoln Riley was asked about hallmarks of Brian Kelly's teams.
He's certainly done a great job with hires, through the past. Look at some of the guys that have worked for him and some of the staffs that he's been able to construct. I think he's been a good program builder. He's been very consistent. I think that's one thing you got to say about him. I mean, his teams year in and year out typically produce, and there hasn't been many down years in all the time that he's done it, which I think is a big compliment.
One of the things that I think is critical for this game, and Brian Kelly alluded to it. Y'all, when you look at Lincoln Riley's offenses and times when they've struggled to score. For example, I told you a year ago with Caleb Williams, USC averaged 41.8 points per game. So nearly 42 points per game. There were 3 times they were held in the 20s. They lost 48-20 to Notre Dame. They lost 36-27 at Oregon. And then they lost 38-20 against UCLA. By the way, you don't think that's part of the reason why Dan Lynn is now USC's defensive coordinator? Lincoln Riley saw that dude shut down his offense with a bunch of dudes playing at UCLA that aren't good enough to play at USC and said, all right, come on. Pretty easy how that worked out. But 3 times with Caleb Williams, they were held in the 20s. Well, what was the commonality? Care to take a guess how many rushing yards Southern California had against UCLA last year? You want to take a guess? Have you looked it up?
I haven't looked it up, no.
So final score 38-20. You want to take a guess at how many rushing yards Southern California had in a 4-quarter game against their crosstown rival?
50.
3.
Oh.
3 rushing yards. You want to try to find the commonality in when those offenses don't go? There's your underlying commonality. I'm not saying you're going to hold them to 3 yards. Oh, when Lincoln Riley was asked in this interview with Trojans Live, the position group he's most excited to see against LSU, what do you think he said?
Our D-line. We've made obviously a lot of changes there. I mean, pretty much every single possible way you can change it. We've changed it from, how we practice, certainly the size, the nutrition factor. It's been well documented, obviously the weight and the strength that we've put on these guys and that we've brought in. Certainly how we're playing, not just call-wise, but from a technique standpoint is very different as well. And so, to see us get a chance to go put that on display is important. And I think of any of the changes that have happened, that position room, it's been the most extreme.
Brian Kelly is talking about SC's ability to run. Lincoln Riley's telling you the position group he's most excited to see is his defensive line. Why? Because I think both of these coaches understand, yes, the Sports Center plays are going to be the passing offense. And LSU had tons of them last year, and so did USC. But the reason both of these teams fell dramatically short of expectations is because LSU couldn't stop the run, and neither could USC. So as much as we're gonna gawk and awe about the offenses, we've talked about the quarterbacks, the ability to throw the ball, the receivers, the weapons on the outside secondary, and all that matters. But the ability for LSU to run the ball and the ability to stop the run is the key underlying factor when Lincoln Riley's offenses have struggled to get going. You see it consistently. That's what it is. When they struggle to get going, it's their inability to run the football and be balanced. When you can stop the run, you can play numbers against their coverage, then yes, that is how you get stops against USC. The game they lost to Oregon, 36-27. USC had 306 passing yards, 73 rushing yards. They averaged 2.9 yards per carry. You want to look at one statistic for LSU's defense in this game? Don't look at coverage bust. Don't look at passing yards. Don't look at any of that. Look at USC's rushing yardage. If LSU's defensive front seven can be competent against the run, you win this game. That's the key. To me, anyway. All right, it's after further review. Muse will have Tigers in the Pros next.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Love telling you about the Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet. That is Baton Rouge and LSU's home away from home while they're still playing at home. Because, of course, they're not just going to stay on campus. Kelly's got to get those guys off of campus the Friday night before game. So where do they go? They go to the Renaissance Hotel. Of course, tell you all the time at the Renaissance, if it's good enough to host LSU football, the entire program the night before a game, they could host your event, whatever event that may be. I love telling you about all the other events that they have over at the Renaissance Hotel. How about this one? They have a charcuterie culinary class coming up on September the 11th. That's a Wednesday, September the 11th, from 6:30 until 8 p.m. The package includes a charcuterie board and a flight of wine. If you're interested in a fun night out on a Wednesday here in a couple of weeks, make sure you check out the Renaissance Hotel. Right there, Tallulah, inside the Renaissance Hotel.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150. $12,000 off a new 2024 Ford F-150. And $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Ross Jackson will be here in 10 minutes. It was Saints cutdown day in the NFL. A ton to react to. The Saints had practice as well. Dennis Allen had media availability earlier this hour. So Ross is going to put a bow on all of it for us here in about 10 minutes. Right now, Musso, Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All righty, let's get it started with some NFL cut-down news and whatnot. Jaquelin Roy, you remember, was with the Vikings last season. Earlier today, was given permission by Minnesota to look for a trade.
Jacqueline Roy.
He did not find a trade partner and subsequently was waived by Minnesota. So now a free agent. That report originally came from Mike Garafolo over at NFL Media. 5th-round pick in 2023 for the Vikings. Appeared in all 12 games. Started one into this season. And really, I guess his time in Minnesota with 8 tackles did Jaquelin Roy.
Drew loves Coach O's voice, my son.
Hey, man.
He watches YouTube videos all day, and he loves watching, like, elevator videos, backpack blowers for some reason. He watches a ton of Terrio and Gordy Rush videos, and he loves Coach O's voice. And he'll walk around and go like, "Hey guys," like drill imitate. I have a 10-year-old special needs child who's trying to imitate Coach O's voice. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's fantastic. I like that a lot, actually.
It's really funny.
Jeremy Fowler was the first to report that the Carolina Panthers released wide receiver Terrace Marshall. Marshall, in all, played 3 seasons in Carolina, 767 yards receiving and 1 touchdown, looking for his next destination. Odell Beckham Jr., what a wild offseason it was for OBJ. Where was he going to sign? Ultimately, ended up with the Miami Dolphins. Of course, that was back in March. Since then, he has not practiced with an undisclosed injury, and today the Dolphins announced that OBJ will start the season on PUP, meaning he will miss at least the first 4 games of the season. Major League Baseball, Dylan Cruz with his Major League debut last night, 0 for 3, 1 strikeout, and did draw a walk. Saw 2 pitches in his first at bat, served a fly ball to Juan Soto. Cruz back at it again tonight with the Washington Nationals for his second game of his MLB career. Alex Bregman last night, 2-5 for the Astros. Both of those hits were singles. Stros lost the game 3-2 to the Phillies. And we will wrap it up with DJ LeMahieu. Pretty solid night for DJ. Couple RBI on 1 hit, 2 ABs for DJ. The hit, for what it's worth, also a single. Yankees got the dub. They beat those Nationals. That's Tigers in the pros.
I'd rather talk about Aaron Judge.
Did he hit another home run last night?
Yes, 2. If you're not paying attention, Aaron Judge is the first player ever. Please keep that going. I like that.
Okay.
Aaron Judge is the first player ever to have 50 home runs, 120 RBI, and 100 walks before September. Aaron Judge, at 32 years old, is on pace to break the home run record without jamming needles in his ass. All of the great vibes we had in the summer of 98, McGuire and Sosa, and then not so much with Bonds because we knew everybody was cheating. This is one we should actually be paying attention to because he's going to do it legitimately. So, it's amazing. Go Aaron Judge. Awesome. All right, hour 3 now.
AFR.
Brought to you by Supper Club. Y'all, they're open again now. They're opening in 5 minutes. SupperClubBTR.com to get your reservation. SupperClubBTR.com. Hey, I want to remind you about 2 things. I checked in with Julie yesterday, who handles marketing over at Supper Club. There are 2 Sagrera cows coming in this week. Not 1, but 2. Told you, Sagrera Farms up in Ethel. They get the entire animal at Supper Club. And then they butcher it in. It's slaughtered at Sagrera. They bring it down to Supper Club, and they butcher it in-house. You want to talk about fresh beef? Oh, my God, it's incredible. If you've not had a Sagrera steak, you got to go to Supper Club. Also, I've been telling y'all this, and a lot of you have been taking my advice. If you're thinking about football Fridays, the Friday night before LSU home games, book your reservations now. Do not wait. I don't care if it's 2 months out. Get your reservation now so you have them. They're already starting to fill up. SupperClubBTR.com. Check it out, y'all. SupperClubBTR.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Dolphins receiver Odell Beckham Jr. will start the season on the PUP list, so he's out at least the first 4 games of the season. He hasn't practiced because of an undisclosed injury. Among the cuts made today as NFL teams made moves to trim to the 53-man roster, the Chiefs released receiver Kadarius Toney. Jets coach Robert Saleh told reporters there is still a path for holdout edge rusher Hassan Reddick to play in Week 1. Reddick, acquired from Philadelphia in March, showed up to the Jets team facility for the physical and virtual news conference April 1st. Hasn't been back since. ESPN's Adam Schefter.
Talks have completely stalled, and they've stalled because the Jets want him in the building before they believe they should start up talks aimed at a long-term contract extension, and Reddick wants a contract before he shows up, and so you have this game of chicken that now is 13 days away from the regular season opener.
The NCAA has proposed eliminating the spring transfer. Under the proposal, the 30-day transfer window in December would be the only time for players to enter their name in the transfer portal and seek a new school.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomblake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. 2 hours ago, NFL teams had to cut their roster from 90 to 53. The Saints have done that, and some other pretty significant news. Great day to call on our guy, Ross Jackson. Of course, our lead over at LouisianaSports.net. Of course, Locked on Saints. If you want him on audio, you can get him there on the podcast or, of course, on the YouTube channel. Good enough to join us now. How are you, man?
Hey, buddy. Doing great. How are you holding up?
I'm doing fantastic. Okay, they cut down to 53. There were some head turners. Which was the biggest surprise for you?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger surprises to lead off the day was the movement that they made on Jonathan Abram. That was one that I didn't expect for this, and this was a hotly contested safety battle next to Tyrann Mathieu, and kind of looked like Jonathan Abram would be the guy to maybe keep that role as he wrapped it up last year, and then the team ends up moving on from him. So we'll see which way they go. Veteran Will Harris, as well as second-year safety Jordan Howden, are both kind of in that conversation. But one of the other big pieces here is that it could be procedural. We'll see. There might be an opportunity to bring Jonathan Abram back at some point as this roster will continue to shake up and kind of redevelop over the course of the next couple of days. Making the decision to make the change at punter, Lou Hedley, it's one that I think makes sense, but Not one that I expected them to do, but they did it, and they roll with the fellow Aussie but rookie kicker Matthew Hayball out of Vanderbilt. So those are a couple of the big ones. And then one of the other big transactions was just them moving Kendre Miller, the running back that had been absent for all of training camp after being injured during the first day of individual drills, moving him to injured reserve with the designation to return. So after 4 weeks, he'll have the opportunity to come back. And right now, Jordan Mims will kind of hold down that role.
What did you make of, or what should we make of Jacob Caboti not making the team after a really good preseason and really a sentimental favorite? What happens for him now?
Yeah, I think they would love to get him back on the practice squad, give him an opportunity to continue to develop. We've seen this a few times with the Saints, especially at the running back position. Everyone loved Devine Ezigbo. They moved on from him. Everybody loved Boston Scott. They moved on from him. This is kind of a thing that they do. They really like a certain type when it comes to their running back room, and maybe Jacob Caboti just needs a little bit more development somewhere, and so wouldn't be surprised to see him back on the practice squad. He could certainly get picked up on waivers, but he'd have to get picked up off of waivers by a team that's willing to add them to their active roster. A little bit tougher and taller a task. And once he clears waivers, though, if he clears waivers, he would be eligible to return to the Saints here on the practice squad.
On Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. Give him a follow there. You can read his stuff over at LouisianaSports.net. I can tell you firsthand, watching Ross work today was actually pretty incredible. On a day like this where the news never stops and making sure you're on top of the waiver wire and everything was pretty amazing. So if you want to check out all the coverage, it's there for free at LouisianaSports.net. We also got a little bit of disappointing news from a Saints perspective. Colin Saunders is going to miss time with a calf injury. What can you tell us, Ross, not only about the injury, the nature of the injury, and what do they do? How do they replace him?
Yeah. So the expectation is a couple of weeks for this one. Originally reported by Nick Underhill over at NewOrleans.football. And one of the big things that comes from this is, you got to figure out what you're going to do without him, right? I mean, you've got Brian Brzee, you've got Nathan Shepard, who have been excellent all throughout training camp and actually played really well during the preseason in their reps too. But, those are guys that are typically more so your 3-tech pass rushers that line up between the opposing guard and tackle, and then, are kind of the guys that are a little bit more, less the run stoppers, less the run pluggers in the middle of a defensive line. So this is where 6th-round pick Christian Boyd really comes in. He's excited. He's stoked about the fact that he made the roster because, of course, being a 6th-round pick, nothing's guaranteed for you. But this is a real opportunity for him because he's going to be leaned on, especially on those early downs, to be the big body that clogs up the middle. Now, we'll see, too, the Saints could potentially end up bringing in some people from outside of the facility. They could elevate, if they bring back Jack Heflin to the practice squad, they could elevate him just like they did a few times last year. They also kept veteran defensive tackle Kendall Vickers, who can help out there as well. He's had some nice plays over the course of training camp. So they have the bodies, they have the numbers, and they have the fit in terms of the guys that would be necessary to replace a Colin Saunders. But one of the big things that Saunders always preaches is that there should be no drop-off from starter to depth, and the Saints will be tested in exactly that once the season kicks off.
Ross, there's a couple of other people, players that specifically like to ask about, because whenever the 53 is released, and we talk about it all the time, it's not the final 53, it's the first 53, right. And sometimes you keep a guy in the 53 maybe to protect him from being signed elsewhere, then you cut him and sign him to the practice squad. Is Mason Tipton a candidate for that, or is this a guy that we expect is going to be a Sunday guy for this team?
Yeah, I was really, that's another one that I was really surprised by. I think that there's certainly the opportunity for him to be one of those guys that ends up getting moved off of, and then brought back onto the practice squad, try to sneak him through, after the initial flurry of roster moves gets made. We see that pretty often. And, they could do a couple of different things in terms of how they want to get that done, but effectively they'd have to cut him clear through waivers and then bring him back. But look, they also really like him. It was surprising to see him retained on the initial 53 based on the fact that he didn't participate in any of the preseason games. But look, when he was out there performing and he was out there during training camp, he was the best. He was one of the best wide receivers on the field outside of the top two guys and everything. So, this could go either way for him. He's a name that I would definitely be watching, not to give him the, one of those kind of like last in, first out kind of treatments or anything like that. But, these are the types of things that happen where sometimes you end up moving somebody or moving somebody to injured reserve at a later time, or you end up finding somebody on waivers that you really want to add, but you got to make a number somewhere. And he could be one of those guys that ends up coming back off the roster and then maybe coming back to the practice squad. So he's a name that I would just keep a close eye on over the course of the next 48 hours or so. It's where you're going to see the major kind of flurries of this, but really it's over the course of the first 2 weeks that you'll see this roster continue to change. So it'll be a little tough for him to stick around, but if he's able to, it shows you how much the Saints really like him.
Thoughts on Anthony Orji making the 53?
Yeah, I mean, this was a guy that looked like he was going to make it from the very beginning. He has grown so much since he was, made the practice squad at this time last year. Plays multiple positions in the defense now. I asked Dennis Allen about him. He said that he's shown improved kind of knowledge of the game, like improved understanding of the system, and just improved play overall. So they're really impressed with the growth that he's shown from 2023 here to 2024. He's a guy that I do not expect them to potentially try to move on from, depending upon how they adjust their roster and things like that. I think he's one of your primary backups at that position.
Two more things for you. Ross Jackson, our guest. You can read his stuff over at louisianasports.net, always free. Of course, you can hear him on Locked On Saints. Subscribe, favorite podcast app, or YouTube. They did have practice today as well. You all had some availability. Anything of note from today?
Yeah, we mostly spent time in the locker room after they did their stuff and everything. So I think the things that are of note really are that, after speaking with some people that were around, getting the opportunity to kind of get some updates on where players are injury-wise. So it sounds like a guy like Dallin Holker, for instance, who's one of the 4 undrafted free agents to make this roster, should be good to go week 1. Seems that things are trending positively for Rashid Shaheed, the New Orleans Saints wide receiver, to open up this season as well. So those were a couple of the big updates that we were kind of able to get from our availability and all that good stuff. So trending in the right direction health-wise. And it doesn't seem yet that there's any indication of any other expectations around Marshawn Lattimore to open up the season as well. I haven't heard anything negative in terms of his chances for week 1. Haven't explicitly been told that he should be ready week 1, but certainly haven't heard anything negative there. So it seems that everything's positive health-wise leading into the opener, the opener in a couple weeks.
My apologies. Last thing, with there being roughly 1,000 free agents today, where are the spots the Saints might be looking among free agents and players on the waiver wire?
Yeah, I imagine offensive line is still a spot that they'll continue to keep an eye out on. A guy that's familiar in Lael Collins is the guy that, hit the market. He was the guy that made a lot of sense for them last year as well when they were trying to figure out what they were going to do at right tackle. So he's a name that I would keep an eye out on, but that's certainly a spot that I would keep an eye out on is that kind of entire offensive line unit. Another player or another position I'd watch is safety. Like this one could get really interesting. Is there a safety that ends up being moved on from out there that ends up providing a better opportunity or maybe a better fit than the guys that they have kind of competing in the building, who Dennis Allen mentioned never really jumped up and took the spot? A guy like Lewis Stein, for instance, former Georgia safety is out on the market now, surprisingly, former first-round pick. Yeah. So there's a couple of those spots that I could definitely see them continuing the role there. Wide receiver could be a spot as well. I think for the most part, those are going to be the ones where I could see the most movement. I think otherwise they feel pretty set with where they are.
He is Ross Jackson on Twitter at Ross Jackson NOLA. Give him a follow. Of course, subscribe to Locked On Saints podcast and read him as our guy, LouisianaSports.net, leading our Saints coverage. We appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Talk to you soon.
That is the one and only Ross Jackson. We appreciate him for joining us as always. 2 things he mentioned there that I do want to follow up on. I'm going to break to stay on time. But he mentioned Lael Collins and Lewis Stein. I do have a thought there. We'll get to that. Also, one of the things we didn't get to yesterday was Brian Kelly on the punters. I do want to circle back to that. We got a lot to do. Glad you're here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Had Ross there. We're counting down to Saints game day, y'all. Sorry. I wear a size 13 shoe. Just kick that canister over. My bad. Go to Rouse's and buy stuff. Rouse's.com. They got the truckload sale going on right now. We keep telling you great deals on the truckload sale. So you're buying groceries, you're buying on a budget, or you just like to be, I don't want to say frugal. What's a polite way of saying frugal? Maybe frugal is a polite way of saying cheap. Maybe that's a better way to say maybe you're frugal. You're very cost aware. That's a good. Cost conscious. You should be. Rouse's, they can help you do that over there. Look for those Rouse's branded products. The Circle R logo. Everything, it's so impressive. Everything, every time they can source locally, they do. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's, this feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart...
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Love that song, Muse.
I know, it's your favorite.
Bringing out the bangers.
That's what we do here on Tuesdays.
Is that what we do?
On Tuesdays.
Just Tuesday?
Yeah.
And by the way, right now, over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana, you buy a 4044M, perfect for hunting season, by the way, giving away a free cutter with a purchase of a 4044M only at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Sunnyquip.com. Sunnyquip.com. Call that hitting the post.
Impressive stuff.
Used to be a radio DJ. Didn't know if you know that.
I did know that, actually. Yes,
Yeah.
I did know that.
It's a thing that happened IRL. All right. Thanks for being here with us. Really quick. Thank you to Ross Jackson. Really quickly, I'll do this. So, Saints roster cuts, two positions that are obviously positions of need or maybe a surprise. The biggest surprise today had to be Jonathan Abram. He was your starting safety a year ago. Marcus May missed half the season, and so Abram was the starter. He and Jordan Howden sort of split time. Howden was the draft pick out of Minnesota, you'll remember. But Jonathan Abrams, a former first-rounder who played a ton for you, and there wasn't really a lot of separation, so it's a little surprising they made that decision. As Ross mentioned, they might move on from him and bring him back. But he mentioned Lewis Sine, and I've told you, for me, Lewis Sine is someone I will forever and ever remember, because Lewis Sine was the guy who was taken with the last pick of round 1 in the draft. What was that, 4 years ago? We were at Don Juan's Cigar Bar, and Jimmy Ott had a prop bet for the number of DBs taken, and he needed the 32nd pick to be a defensive back. Do you have the video? Because when we edited it.
I don't have the video, no.
Well, Paul, you did it. Didn't you edit it? we played this not long ago because when Lewis signed was like a cut candidate. Anyway, God dog it because we played it because I had to cut at a bleep otter. Anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, the last pick around one ended up being Lewis Sign. We all went crazy. It was a thing. Anyway, so I'll never forget Lewis Sign for that reason. But he was a former first-round pick out of Georgia. He's a safety, and he's played a lot of football. Let me rephrase. He was a very good safety coming out of Georgia, which warranted it being a first-round pick. He has not played a lot of football in his NFL career for the Vikings. Healthy scratch or injury, he's played in a total of 10 games. So, and he's never started a game in the NFL either. But he's a guy who, great physical ability to be a first-round pick. Is it one of those things where a change of scenery could help? Maybe file it away. The more interesting thing here clearly is Lyle Collins. Yesterday, John Stinchcomb was here, and I asked him if we were talking about Trevor Penning. And so I brought up, could potentially there be a player? He said that Penning is the best option you have right now on your roster at right tackle. I said, well, could there potentially be a cut somewhere that would be a better option than Penning? And he said no, because another team's fourth tackle wouldn't be a better option than Penning. Look at Lyle Collins. I mean, Lyle came into the NFL in 2015. He has had injury issues. He didn't play in 2023, missed the whole season due to injury. But for his career, he's played in 89 games with 86 starts, primarily at right tackle. So maybe that's a guy you bring in, you kick the tires, and see if he's a better option than what you have right now in Trevor Penning. Long-term, clearly Penning would be a better option. You invest in a first-round pick. He could play guard if you need him, all that stuff. We've had the conversation. But bringing in Lyle Collins isn't a terrible idea. And yes, I get it. Like, I'm an LSU guy. Lyle's from Baton Rouge. Would love to see it. Check all those boxes. But it's also a guy he's been exactly what you need. He's been a starting right tackle in the NFL. So coming off of injury, is he healthy now? Bring him in, work him out. If nothing else, to keep an updated profile on him, an updated scouting report if you get into a situation where you need to bring in a right tackle. So I'd very much endorse that. All right, it's after further review. I want to get to Brian Kelly talking about the punters. We're brought to you by Parrish Construction and Roofing, parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Hey, if you watch the preseason games for the Saints, you probably saw that ad for the LDI, Louisiana Department of Insurance, and their Fortified program. So this is something I've told you about for years, the Fortified Roofing program. I'll oversimplify it. A fortified roof essentially adds extra layers of protection under the shingle. So storm comes, you could still lose shingles and have damage to your roof, but the key is trying to prevent water intrusion, because from an insurance company standpoint, they can replace a roof, but when it gets really costly is when you have roof damage and then it causes damage to the interior of your house. And now you're cutting sheetrock. You're replacing the ceiling. There's damage to the contents of the home. That's whenever claims get exponentially bigger. So a fortified roof minimizes that risk. So the state of Louisiana has a grant program that allows homeowners $10,000 towards a fortified roof. And your insurance company, you need to check because every insurance company is different, but your insurance company offers up to a 50% discount on your premium if you have a fortified roof. So you've got to learn about this if you don't already know. And in September, LDI just announced they're opening up a new portal window. Sounds like the transfer portal, but a new portal window to apply, and they're going to accept 300. They're going to award 300 grants. So in the entire state of Louisiana, that ain't many. If you want to get to the front of the line, you want to get your grant approved, you need help going through that process, we can help. Linda on our staff is awesome. She's a former insurance adjuster. Now she's on this side helping our customers, our homeowners, through these insurance situations like this. So we'd love to help you out at Parrish Construction and Roofing. Just go to parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com, fill out the form right there on the homepage. It'll take you 30 seconds. It's like name, email, phone number, and then just put in like fortified roofing. Heard about it on Scone, whatever. And we'll get in touch and help you through that process. If you're interested, learn more, go to parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. That's us. That's me, Terrio, Tilly, Joe Morales, Trent Davis, our whole crew at Parrish Construction and Roofing. Parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. All right. I got a little bit of anxiety about Sunday night with LSU and USC when it comes to special teams. Damian Ramos was good 2 years ago. He was better last year, just on field goal percentage. Remember, you lost Nathan Dybert last year against Texas A&M with the torn ACL and his right. He's a left-footed kicker, but he tore his ACL on his right leg trying to make a tackle against Texas A&M. We did see him out there in fall camp. Didn't see him kick a bunch. So don't know his availability. We'll see. If not, Ramos will kick off. I feel good about Xavier Thomas returning kicks and punts. He's done it, and he's done it at a high level. What I don't feel good at all about is Punter. And we shouldn't. I want to remind you, go in the Wayback Machine with me, crank that thing up to 88 miles an hour, flux capacitor, fluxing and all that stuff. Go back to the spring game. This is what Brian Kelly said about Peyton Todd after the spring game.
Not as consistent as I would like. I thought today was an opportunity for him to just say, there is no competition here. And he's got to be more consistent, quite frankly. He's long. He's got all the tools. He's a classic case of today, right? You know, you got 14 practices, you look great. And today the ball was wobbling. It was not what I was looking for, nor was it what he was looking for either. He's a great kid. But look, it's about performance on Saturdays, and he's got to do a better job.
Brian Kelly was blunt after the spring game, and his actions matched his words. They went and signed Blake Oxendorf, who was all conference last year at Louisiana Tech. So, you know, after being at Central Michigan, came down to Louisiana Tech last year, first team all WAC, averaged 46 yards a punt, whatever it was, 45, 46 yards a punt. And bring him in to compete with Peyton Todd. And that was very uneven. And Brian Kelly was asked on August the 14th, that was 13 days ago, about his punters. Here's what he said.
I think we've got two guys that I think complement each other, and I think they both can help us. We just need to find out in what realm. They're both extremely talented. They both have big legs. I think the one that stands out to me right now is we need to get consistency, because we'll see a couple of incredibly big kicks, and then we'll see one that is certainly not effective enough. So we'll let those guys continue to challenge each other. But I think it's going to sort itself out. If we got to play them both, we'll play them both.
Brian Kelly's been very candid. Peyton Todd wasn't good enough. He wanted to get a new punter. 2 weeks ago, it hadn't been good enough. It hadn't been consistent enough. We got to play them both. We'll play them both. So Brian Kelly was asked on Monday, where are you at punter? Here's what he said.
You know, I think from a tactical standpoint, limiting, his ability to field the football. We certainly want to stress their returns by not kicking it straight down the middle of the field. So, I think we've got two talented kickers. I think they both have the ability to impact the game. I think from our standpoint, I think we have some things that we can do that will allow both of them to impact the game.
I will be so interested to see what they do, because the way that that question was phrased was through the lens of USC return man Zachariah Branch and how you prevent Branch from making an impact play. And quite honestly, it's something that I am a little leery about, because Branch was a freshman All-America returner a year ago, just like Xavier Thomas was 2 seasons ago at Mississippi State when he was a freshman All-America. And so you go into this game, and we have seen both, everybody that has gone out to practice, every single media member has seen Peyton Todd and Blake Oxendorf boom punts. Watched one on the far field where Oxendorf kicked one. I measured it 60 yards, what was 70 yards in the air. 70 in the air. Remember, you're 12 yards back thereabouts. You take your 2 steps, punt. That's a hell of a kick. And then the next one was a 90-degree angle. Probably would have netted 12 to 15 yards. So that's what Brian Kelly's talking about with the consistency. And when you don't see consistency, it's hard to know who do you run out there in a key spot when you need to flip the field, you need a coffin corner. And if you miss hit and you hit a low liner and Zachariah Branch catches it coming up on the run, now all of a sudden you're flipping the field or flipping the scoreboard. So I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but if you believe like I do that this should be a close game, and look, LSU was about a 6.5-point favorite all summer. Money has come in on SC. That's down to 4.5. You're talking about a one-score game. The hidden yardage or ability to change the scoreboard in special teams, that could be massively significant. So I am hoping that one of these guys just makes it very apparent who is going to be the guy. And I don't know the answer. My guess, when you heard Brian Kelly say, can you play the very beginning of that again, Muse, from Monday?
I think from a tactical standpoint, limiting, his ability to field the football. We certainly want.
From a tactical standpoint, limiting his ability to field the football. Remember, last year, LSU allowed 2 punt returns all year for -1 yards. Let's say that again. Last year, with Jay Bramlett, in 13 games, your opponents returned 2 punts for -1 yard. It wasn't always Bramblett's ability to kick it 60 yards. It was kicking it where they couldn't return it. So when Brian Kelly's saying tactically, so he can't return it, that's what he means. So where are you on the field? Here's what I think. I'm going to give you my opinion how I think that plays out. I think if you're at your own 20 and you need to boom one, I think Peyton Todd's your guy. I think he's got a monster leg. We've seen it consistently. And if you're standing at midfield and you're trying to pin one inside the 10, I think it's Oxendorf. That's my guess. If I had to say it, I'll give you a golf analogy. Peyton Todd's great off the tee. His short game stinks. I think Oxendorf's a guy that probably handles his irons a little bit better. He can boom it off the tee as well, but I think he handles his irons a little better. I think that's probably how I would look at it with these two guys. So they may use them both depending on situationally, as Brian Kelly said, tactically. But that's one. Y'all, I'm telling you, on Sunday, when LSU's going to line up to punt, don't go run to the bathroom and take a leak and grab a beer. Sit in your seat. Because it's pretty evident that that's one spot where they were really good a year ago. I mean, really good a year ago when they were punting the football. Now the punt returns, kick return, no. But when LSU was punting the ball the last 2 years of Bramlett, they've been really good. It's a big question going into the game Sunday night, going into this year. We'll see how it all plays out. All right, we're brought to you by Shaw Bills. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. You know where to find them with locations all over South Louisiana. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Hey, look, if you're trying to buy new tires, or it's time to buy new tires, buy the best tires at the cheapest price. Don't go to the membership clubs. Don't go to the box stores. Don't go to other tire stores. You can. You waste your time. You can. But then you're going to compare the price, and you're going to see you're going to get the best tires at the cheapest price at Shaw Bills. They guarantee it. They'll marry the manufacturer's offer with their own in-house offer to get you the best price. Go to the website, hit the promotions tab at the top. You'll see all the dealer specials right now over at Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Yeah, you need your oil change, your brakes are squeaking, the check engine light's on, whatever it may be. They do all that as well, of course. They do it better than anyone. They can treat you better than anyone. They're family-owned and operated and have been since Mr. Charlie opened the doors back in 1968. Great people. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. All right, been a good show. Glad you're here. Otter in about 15 minutes. We get caught up on Otter Locks, see what the Otter's got us betting on tonight. And when we come back, I got some updated, what do I have? I have 2 things. Oh, that's it. I got some updated bowl projections after week 0, so we'll get to that. And also, the brothers Kelce getting broke off. Have you heard about that? We'll get to it. You can always get a text, a tweet in if you'd like as well, an email. You can text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you get involved. Do it now. All right, stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Was chatting yesterday with my buddy Chuck over at Action Industries, and they got great news. Action Industries, and you know this, it's turnaround season. So at Action Industries, they need people. They're about to start 2 month-long turnarounds, about 4 to 5 week jobs. You're working 7/12s. They need 100 to 125 people. So putting out the call. Football season's almost here. Hunting season's almost here. You want to make that turnaround money? Let's do it. Action Industries. Go apply you can apply online, actioninc.com. Just search Action Industries, you'll see them. Or you could apply in person in Geismar at their Highway 30 office and ask for Zach. I mean, if you're going south on 30, you You go into Geisinger, it's on the left. You'll see it. Go in the office, just ask for Zach. Again, oh, by the way, they also were awarded a capital project. That's a year-long project, working 5/10s. More about that coming, but check them out. Action Industries.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
We got to go find that Lewis Sign video. I'm telling you, man. You don't remember editing the Lewis Sign video?
No, because I wouldn't have edited the video. That would have been Paul or you that edited it.
We played it, though. Paul, you don't remember editing that? It's just a couple of months ago.
I remember editing the curse word. I don't remember editing the whole video.
No, that's what I mean. Like, from that, because I think I sent you, the clip was on Twitter.
I can find it.
Man. It was so fun.
It was good, man. I mean, look, that whole night is a blast anyway, but when you get Otter on them bets,
ooh. There is nothing quite like being with Jimmy Ott when he's got action on something and it's coming down to the wire. I mean, that in and of itself is worth the price of admission.
It's an experience.
That is an experience. How much would you pay, Muse, the price of admission, to see your Fighting Tigers of LSU take on the Virginia Tech Hokies in the Gator Bowl on January the 2nd?
No, I'm good. I'm not going to pay for that.
You wouldn't go to that?
No.
I got friends in Jacksonville.
I mean, Jacksonville's probably great.
Like, I could probably do that. What time is that game? That, by the way, USA Today put out their bowl projections post week 0, and they got LSU. Well, you heard it there. LSU, Virginia Tech in the Gator Bowl on January 2nd.
Gator Bowl's afternoon, isn't it?
Well, so much of this has changed now, where like it used to be, New Year's Day. Now it's January 2nd. No, see, it's 7:30 p.m.
Night game.
Yeah.
In
Now, that's
Jacksonville.
way more interesting.
That is.
The 80th game. It's in prime time.
How about that?
That's interesting. See, that's way more appealing. 7:30 p.m. Now, and I think in Jacksonville would be Eastern time zone. I guess that would be 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. So that's way more appealing. Go to Jacksonville, get beautiful weather, even around January. It'll be beautiful there. It's always beautiful in Jacksonville. NFL Stadium that they've done a lot of renovations to. Maybe a good opponent there, winnable game. I can get down with that. Look, of course, we want to see LSU in the playoff. But look, give me the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville over whatever the thing is that they played in Tampa in front of 15 people.
The ReliaQuest Bowl, yeah. LSU hasn't been to the Gator Bowl in a long time, too. I mean, that's been a while. So, I mean, at least that change-up's nice. It's not, Tampa or Orlando or Memphis or Nashville, Houston. Like, that part of it would be interesting, too, I guess.
I tend to agree. I just think LSU fans, as far as traveling, they're just over anything that's not a marquee game.
I get that, too.
I would like the Gator Bowl. Like, that's one where I'd say, hey, I'll go do New Year's in Jacksonville. Almost kicked that canister
again.
Almost did. It's just where I have it.
Restless leg syndrome over there, man.
No, it's not. I don't have restless leg at all. I just moved my leg. Like sometimes when I sit like this, I'll put. I don't know if you can even tell because I'll put my knee. Paul, can you go to that shot? You see my knee right here? Like I put my knee up here across my leg on my shin on my knee, my right knee. And so I'll sit like this. I find this very comfortable. And so I rest my left leg against the set. So I don't know. I just find this a comfortable position to sit in this chair. And anyway, just the way I'm sitting, it just happened to my shoe kicks that canister that's down there. Playoff teams. Bama against Memphis.
Oh God!
How about that? How about Memphis in Tuscaloosa against in Brian Dennehy Stadium against Alabama in a first-round playoff game? Yeah, tell me that's what all we're just craving that in this 12-team playoff to see Memphis go to Nick Saban Field at Brian Dennehy Stadium.
I forgot about the Nick Saban Field part.
Yeah.
Also, where did this Memphis hype come from? I've only seen like Liberty and Boise State.
I don't know. Fresno's been in there a bit too.
Memphis.
So Alabama. Penn State at Texas.
That's intriguing.
How about this? Oklahoma at Notre Dame.
Okay.
USA Today got Oklahoma in the play.
And they like Oklahoma and Memphis. Look at these guys.
And then Georgia with a bye. Georgia, the SEC champion with a bye. So 4 in. But for everybody sitting there going 5, they're going 5. I found it interesting. Ole Miss in the ReliaQuest, so Ole Miss outside looking in. Tennessee in the Music City. Missouri in the Citrus. LSU in the Gator, as we mentioned. A&M in the Texas Bowl. Kentucky in the Las Vegas Bowl.
Oh, there we go. Kentucky in the Vegas Bowl. I thought I had it on there. I thought I put it on there. I didn't. I need to put it on there.
Muse.
Well, I was updating a bunch of whenever we redid the imaging. I thought I added that one.
That's right, Muse. We've just been doing that bit for like 5 years.
I don't think it's been 5 years.
Please add it to the button bar.
I will.
Today.
Okay.
You're a 6, you need a deadline. I want the Vegas baby drop on the button bar by tomorrow.
I will do it after the show today.
Okay. Auburn in the Liberty Bowl.
Liberty. Okay.
Kentucky in the Birmingham Bowl. Florida.
Hey.
Against Duke in the Gasparilla Bowl.
Okay. Bowl eligibility would probably keep
That's what I was going to say.
Billy around.
I don't know that I agree with that.
You don't think so?
I don't know that I agree
What
with
if
that.
it's like 7-5 and not 6-6 or something like that?
I don't think he's keeps his job at 7-5.
Okay.
Do you?
I think he could. Against that schedule, I think that he could, yes.
Here's why you don't keep your job against that schedule. I'm going to pull up Florida's schedule. We're going to run through it real quick. Let's say your 5 losses are Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Miami, A&M, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Florida State looks iffy now, right?
Yeah, they don't.
That's 8 games. Where's your 5 losses?
Georgia.
Miami. Let's go in order. Miami at home.
Yes. Yeah, I'll give him an L there. Man, that game reminds me of the Utah game at home his first year, to be honest with you. I think that could be a sneaky game that Florida could pull out. But
you had Anthony Richardson.
That's the difference. You have Graham Mertz now, not Anthony Richardson.
So what are we doing there?
I'll give them an L.
All right, so lose there. Home against A&M?
L.
Ooh. Oh, if they don't beat A&M at home, he's getting fired. If they don't beat A&M in College Station, he is not coaching the LSU game. At Tennessee?
Dang. Yeah, no, they're not winning at Tennessee for sure. That's not happening.
Georgia?
Okay, neutral. No.
Okay, it's 4.
Yeah.
At Texas?
No. That's that A&M game. I want to change that one, actually, all of a sudden.
LSU?
That could be a toss-up, man. I'm going to be a homer and say no because I just loathe the University of Florida.
Ole Miss?
Where is that game?
Gainesville.
No.
So it doesn't matter.
No, I don't think Florida's going to be a bowl team, either.
At Florida State.
Yeah, sure. We'll give them that one.
All right. So you got them at 5 and 7.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to be a bowl team.
They get the 2 Mississippi schools.
Okay.
Now you're 7 and 5. With a win against Ole Miss?
I mean, that's the interesting part there is how it looks.
That's my
how
point.
It looks.
So you said even if they get to 7 and 5, where's your marquee win?
Yeah.
Ole Miss? That's it? I mean, he's not keeping his job.
Okay. He would need, if he gets the 2 marquees, though, right? Like, say if it's Ole Miss and Miami, could you see a path there, though?
There is no path to him keeping his job without marquee wins because there's too many games like that on the schedule.
Yeah.
To get to that number, he'd have to have marquee wins. They were 5 and 7 a year ago. Even if you flip to 7 and 5 this year, yes, you get to bowl eligibility, but you did it without beating any teams that Florida expects to beat.
Any team of significance.
I mean, if you roll out and you beat Mississippi State and Kentucky, and I mean that's an Ole Miss is your feather in the cap. I just threw
Did that just get stuck up there?
It went on top. It went over the light.
Oh.
It's stuck up there.
We'll never see that again.
Yeah. Bo gets up there sometimes, like to fidget with the boxes that are up there and all that stuff. Yeah. Get down. I just threw a piece of paper on the ceiling. So we have a lowered ceiling in here to allow for all the air vents and everything. Oh, there you go, Paulie show. If you're watching, see where the lights are? Hang on, let me do this. Well, I need that one. No, I need that one too. Somebody give me a piece of paper I can throw.
Here.
All right, watch. All right, here we go.
Don't miss.
No, I want 1, 2, 3. See where it went up? I don't know if you could see where it went up there.
On the camera.
Yeah. So next to the light, the ceiling is lowered, so there's like a platform up there where all the air vents and wires and stuff are up there. So there's some paper balls up there. They'll find it in about a decade. All right, it's after further review. Oh, the Kelces. Travis Kelce, you know how much money he's made in his NFL career?
No. I don't know, $80 million.
Very close, $76.9 million. Jason Kelce, 13 NFL seasons. You know how much money he made?
As a center, $60 million.
$81 million.
Oh.
You know how much money New Heights just sold to Amazon for?
$100.
$100 million.
Okay, look at that.
How about that? Those guys just made themselves a cool 9 figures with a podcast when they busted their bodies each for more than a decade to pull down a lot of money. Don't misunderstand me. I mean, Travie there is at 76.9 and Jason 81.7. The Kelce are doing fine. Now, granted, that's $100 million over 3 years, right? So the average annual value is in the $33 million, and then they'll split that, $15, $16 million per. Yeah, that's more than they're making playing football per year. Anyway, congrats to them. All right, it's AFR Otterlocks to wrap up the show next.
After further review.
Brought to you by River City's 1 hour air where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001 or 1hourbr.com. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. You see them all over town because your friends and neighbors do exactly what I did. They trust River City's 1 hour air because they're going to treat them right. They're going to do great work always at a fair price of course, with exemplary customer service. That's why you see so many 5-star Google reviews. Justice Smith, this 5-star review. Kevin was great. He explained everything he did. It was very fast and efficient. Dustin sent this one. Bellamy was great, very efficient and informative. He was a lifesaver, that's for sure. You continue to see 5-star Google reviews. Ulysses Lewis said, I was extremely pleased with Russell's performance, kindness, professionalism, overall knowledge of what's going on, especially the way he explained it to me. You see him all over town because they're the best. Big yellow vans and trucks. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, you know, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, you know. We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
The best. After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Minnesota DB.
Oh, you need a Minnesota DB.
DB.
You know, this is Malik Willis. This is Malik Willis.
Can they list him as a DB?
This is Malik Willis 16 times. You know how fired up I'll be. This is
Very nice. All right, look at this guy. Can't win them all. It's all right.
All right, here we go.
It's all right.
All right, Otter, what we
Can't
got?
win them all. Can't win them all.
Here we go.
Can't win them all.
It's not Malik
Can't
Willis.
win them all.
I read his lips. It's not Malik Willis.
It's Hassan! Ah! It's Hassan! He got a DB! Yeah! Yeah!
Oh, man. The absurdity knows no bounds. What a way to finish the night at the draft party. Lewis Sign was cut today by the Minnesota Vikings, but he gave us that moment forever with our guy, the Otter. Hit it.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Our guy Lewis Sign will always have our draft night prop bet.
I need to start letting Hanny win some.
So good.
Everybody needs balance in everything they do.
Oh, man.
You know.
When he's going, there's Malik Willis 16 times. Oh, man, that's so good.
That was a fun night. That was a fun night. Huh?
We missed last night on the Rays.
0 for 2.
0 for 2.
Yep.
What are we looking at tonight? Let's get back on a winning track.
All right, let me see my notes that I sent Mr. Clark, Mr. Hunt Palmer. Here we are, Mr. Hunt. Getting ready, finishing up the yard before we jump on the plane tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
And, Kansas City money line started at 540. I'm sorry. What's the score?
It is nothing. Top 2.
Okay. Go ahead, get on it.
Kansas City plus 120.
Yes.
Love it. Kansas City money line. Let's do it. In game.
Your Yankees on the run line. Cole's been coming around a little bit.
Remaining.
And you know they're hitting the ball like Judge in the field. It's one thing to play center field. It's one thing to play center field well. That big. So that was awesome last night. Yankees minus 1.5 playing about 165.
So that's in game right now. It's minus 120.
There you go. Even better. Are they down 1-0?
No, it's no score.
Okay, and moneyline Milwaukee minus 118. They'll bounce back big tonight, like them. Logan Webb, not the same on the road as he is at home.
All right, Otter, y'all are hitting the road tomorrow. I know. Is Max on location somewhere?
Max is at the original walk-ons promoting their deal with the Breaking Bad crew at Harris, and also getting ready for our stuff with the same normal guests.
We got to go. Later.
See ya.
After further review.
Getting on down the road, remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com, new and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. If you're in the market for a vehicle or might be, check out our friends over at South Point Volkswagen. Had a buddy, Tim, was going over there this weekend. Sent him saying, hey, go ask for Chris. You can ask for Brad. You can ask for anybody over there. The staff is awesome. They got the Labor Day sales event coming up. There's always something going on over at South Point Volkswagen. I tell you every day. They're Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. And because they move more Volkswagens than anybody else, they can give you the best deal. And, of course, because they move more Volkswagens than anybody else, they also have the best selection of pre-owned vehicles over at South Point Volkswagen. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, time to get on by and check it out. They've got Jetta, 2024 Jetta for $20,410 on sale. You can get it. Great prices as well on Atlas Cross Sport. Check them out. South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150. $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the